86%. Chapter 341. Dragon Clan Inheritance, Zhang Chushuan Big Flicker. Zhao Ju took Zhang Chushuan and Xiao Xuanzi back to the edge of the altar, and after signaling the two to sit down, he bit his finger and smeared a splash of blood on the ball in the center of the altar. Hum 1. As a subtle voice sounded, Zhang Chushuan and Xiao Xuanzi were instantly enveloped by a burst of pale golden light. Seeing this, a smile appeared on Zhao Ju's face, and he muttered, "It's finally okay." After saying that, he walked to the side of Zan Zan, who had already come out of the pit, and said, "You are seriously injured now, and you are not allowed to enter it. Wait for next time." Aha! This time, Jian Zan did not refute, but stayed quietly beside Zhao Ju, his eyes constantly moving on Zhang Chushuan and Xiao Xuanzi. Soon after, he spoke softly, his voice a little weak. "Do you think either of them can hold out longer?" 35. It's hard to say. Hearing this, Zhao Ju pondered slightly, then shook his head. This understanding of the ancestor does not rely on strength to speak, depending on the opportunity. I'm optimistic about the one on the left. How about we make a bet? Seeing that Zan Zan pointed at Zhang Chushuan, Zhao Ju smiled slightly and said, "What bet?" "Don't say let me let you go. You know, there is a vow between you and me." "Hee, you underestimate me too much." With a disdainful smile, he said, "Just bet on which of the two of them lasts the longest, and the loser agrees to the winner's request. How about it? Rest assured, I won't make it difficult for you." Quote. Zhao Ju thought for a moment, then nodded and agreed. "Okay, it seems that I can only choose another Taoist." "Oh, wait and see." After being enveloped in golden light, Zhang Chushuan's eyes suddenly flowed, making people unable to open their eyes. When he looked ahead again, there was a sea of blood in front of him. In the sea of blood, a golden dragon is constantly floating and sinking, emitting a heaven-shaking roar. The golden dragon seemed to vent enough, and it seemed to have no strength. The huge dragon head looked towards Zhang Chushuan, looked at it for a moment, and then asked, "Terran, who are you? When did you Terrans allow you to come here? Could it be that the dragon clans are all extinct? This is impossible. Non-dragon bloodline, you can't enter this place. Say, who are you?" Facing the somewhat angry golden dragon, Zhang Chushuan's face did not change, and his tone was flat. "In the next Zhang Chushuan, it is indeed a human race. However, a friend of the dragon clan asked me to come in, saying that I could get some of the insights of the ancestors of the dragon clan." Quote. The huge dragon's eye kept looking at Zhang Chushuan, and a strong breath erupted from the golden gathering nose, blowing Zhang Chushuan's clothes hunting. After a long time, he spoke again. "There is indeed the breath of the descendants of my clan." Seeing that he had let down some of his guards, Zhang Chushuan explained the intention of the trip. "You are the ancestor of the dragon clan, the five-clawed golden dragon." Hee, it's the old man. A humane smile appeared on the golden dragon's face, very smug. But Zhang Chushuan's next words made his face change greatly. "As far as I know, the ancestor of your dragon clan is the ancestral dragon. Although the status of your golden dragon line in the dragon clan is not low, it cannot be called a true ancestor. Boy, why do you know the secret news of my group?" At this moment, the golden giant couldn't sit still, and the dragon's head was almost attached to Zhang Chushuan's face. Reaching out and pushing it back slightly, Zhang Chushuan had a mysterious smile on his face. "I also know that your ancestral dragon has disappeared. You are just one of the dragon clan. If you say that you are the ancestor of the little dragon outside, this is still somewhat believable." You. The golden dragon was a little speechless. These were the secrets of the dragon family back then. Although he finally died and disappeared, his memory was still preserved, but he didn't tell his descendants. Now any outsider can know the secret of their dragon clan. Boy, what's the situation with the dragon clan now? The golden dragon suddenly began to worry, sensing that something was wrong. "It's difficult. Basically, you can't see the real pure blood dragon clan." Shaking his head slightly, Zhang Chushuan showed a look of regret on his face, and said, "I think you also notice the breath of that little dragon outside. Presumably his bloodline is already very thin." 5. Listening to Zhang Chushuan's words, the golden dragon's face became even more gloomy, because what Zhang Chushuan said was the truth, and he couldn't refute it. "So, my dragon clan has fallen here." "That's right. 99. Zhang Chushuan opened his mouth and came, not afraid of the other party debunking his own language. "So, if you want to leave the dragon inheritance in the world, you must find someone." 99. "Humph. Boy, old man, see that you are lying." The golden dragon suddenly snorted coldly, and his eyes looking at Zhang Chushuan were full of unkindness. Even if the dragon inheritance dies from now on, it will not be the turn of a human race to inherit it. I think you're mistaken. Zhang Chushuan knew that if he didn't show his hands, he might not be able to gain the trust of the other party, so he used the dragon technique, revealing the exact same aura as the dragon clan, and said, "Before this, I had already obtained part of the dragon clan inheritance. Therefore, now I can also be said to be half a dragon. So, handing over my clan inheritance to me is not considered to be handing it over to outsiders, you say?" The golden dragon's eyes widened in disbelief. But the facts are in front of him, and he has to believe it if he doesn't believe it. After a long silence, he seemed to let out a long sigh before saying to Zhang Chushuan, "In that case, you are not an outsider. Come, accept my inheritance. From today onwards, you will represent me and recreate the former glory of the dragon clan. I hope you can remember this responsibility." Quote. "Thank you, Patriarch." 9. The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, and Zhang Chushuan sat down cross-legged, his heart facing the sky. Seeing this, the golden dragon's huge body instantly turned into a ball of light and rushed into Zhang Chushuan's body. Just as Zhang Chushuan wanted to react, the voice of the golden dragon entered his brain. "Don't resist, the old man is very domineering, you better understand carefully. Otherwise, if you miss this opportunity, you will have to wait 10 years. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan really didn't move, and the embarrassment in his heart that was discovered by Zhao Ju also disappeared in an instant. 10 years from now, who knows if the two of them will see each other again? On the edge of the altar, Zhao Ju and Jian Zan patiently waited for the two of them to comprehend, and suddenly, a burst of light flashed, and Xiao Xuanzi's figure was revealed. Seeing this, Jian Zan was immediately overjoyed, and said proudly to Zhao Ju beside him, "How is it? You lose, you need to grant me a request." 5. Zhao Ju didn't seem to be very surprised by this, but nodded slightly. "Say, what do you want me to promise?" Well, after thinking for a while, Zan Zan suddenly found that he didn't have any good ideas at this time, so he said to Zhao Ju, "Keep it first, and talk about it later." 86%. Chapter 342. It's always right to take the dragon to the Yanwang dynasty. Xiao Xuanzi stood up from the altar and walked towards the two, and Zan Zan, who was proud, immediately greeted him and asked, "How is it? What did you learn?" Hearing this, Xiao Xuanzi shook his head and smiled indifferently. "No. I was in a strange space, where there was a blank, nothing. But just halfway through my exploration, I was teleported. Alas, that's a shame." Zhao Ju knew that the comprehension of this dragon ancestor could not be obtained casually by anyone, so he sighed with regret and signaled Xiao Xuanzi not to mind, there would be opportunities in the future. When Jian Zan heard this, he was immediately overjoyed, and pointed at Zhao Ju and said, "Ha ha ha, it seems that you have completely lost this time, my vision is really good." Ignoring the narcissistic Zan Zan, Zhao Ju set his sights on Zhang Chushuan's body. After a full day and night, the light on Zhang Chushuan's body gradually dissipated, and he slowly opened his eyes, and the essence flashed. "Taoist, do you have gains?" Zhao Ju's words were a little expectant. After all, he had already regarded Zhang Chushuan as his lifesaver and trusted the other party very much. Exhaling a cloudy breath from his mouth, Zhang Chushuan nodded slowly. "I have met the ancestor and obtained his inheritance, but it will take a long time to digest. Taoist, before that, I didn't want to teach you. 437 inches. It's okay, this is the chance of Taoist friends." When Zhao Ju heard this, he waved his hand generously and said, "Taoist friends can have gains, and they are already very happy in Sha, and they are worried that they cannot repay Taoist friends' kindness." "Thank you." Zhang Chushuan arched his hand slightly towards Zhao Ju and continued, "This is not the place to talk, let's go out first." "Good. Although the cave house in the lower part is empty, it is still not enough to accommodate a few of us. Taoist friends, this side please." 39. So, the group of 4 turned back and walked towards Zhao Ju's cave mansion. Transforming a few seats casually, Zhao Ju waited for everyone to sit down before looking at Zhang Chushuan and the two. "I don't know the two Taoists, where to go in the future." He knew that Zhang Chushuan was just a passerby here, and there was always a time to leave. As soon as his mind moved, Zhang Chushuan had the idea of turning Zhao Ju to the Yanwang dynasty. "I am traveling around with Xiao Xuanzi Daoyu, and I don't know where the end point is." Quote. What can I do? Upon hearing this, Zhao Ju was obviously anxious. "I want to repay the benefactor's kindness, but in this way. Hee, Taoist friends don't have to worry. Aee. Zhang Chushuan, who has already figured out Zhao Ju's personality, is not afraid that the other party will see through his purpose. In the Yanwang dynasty, if you are a Taoist friend at leisure, you might as well take your wife to travel, and it can be considered a distraction. Yanwang dynasty. Zhao Ju suddenly frowned slightly, but still nodded and agreed. In that case, then in the lower space, I must go to the Yanwang dynasty and personally visit Daoyu. At that time, please don't dislike it. It's okay. Smiling and waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan threw out another sentence. At that time, the ancestral inheritance should have been completely digested in Sha, and if Taoists do not dislike it, they can be passed on to Taoists in Sha. How does that make it? Zhao Ju was very close to the ancestor inheritance, but he did not obtain it by himself, so he was a little embarrassed. Then it's decided, when the time comes, see you in the Yanwang dynasty, and welcome you at the next bed. Zhang Chushuan got up, and Xiao Xuanzi on the side immediately understood and stood up. Two Taoists, is this leaving? Zhao Ju was a little reluctant in his heart, although he had only spent such a little time together, he had a good impression of Zhang Chushuan and really didn't want to miss the opportunity to communicate. Is there a feast in the world that will not be scattered? In the future, you and I will still have the opportunity to see each other, so there is no need for this. After saying that, Zhang Chushuan ignored the other party's retention and calmly left with Xiao Xuanzi. In Zhao Ju's private palace, Jian Zan looked at the other party and smiled. Zhao Ju, I suddenly have an idea, if you agree, you can use that request. Quote. Hearing this, Zhao Ju came back from his contemplation and looked at the other party. Zan, you can talk about it. 55. Fang Kai's Taoist friend also said that he came from the Yanwang dynasty. We have stayed around this Dragon King city for a long time, why don't you go out for a walk? Quote. Zhao Ju knew that he had the heavy responsibility of protecting the Dragon King city and could not leave easily. You were just trying to stop me before, how have you ever met other miscreants? Now is a great opportunity, if you don't seize it, when will you stay? In the end, under the persuasion of Jian Zan, Zhao Ju agreed, but he still had to spend a few months with the Su family before he could set off. Outside the Dragon King city, Xiao Xuanzi endured for a long time, and finally said to Zhang Chushuan, Zhang Daoyu, have you really obtained the inheritance of the ancestors of the Dragon clan? 99. Nodding slightly, seeing that the other party seemed to be intentional, Zhang Chushuan took the initiative to speak. Taoist friends are also interested. No problem, I'll pass it on to the Taoists. 99. No, that's not what it means. Hurriedly waving his hand, Xiao Xuanzi rejected Zhang Chushuan's kindness and said, it's just that poor Dao feels that the breath of that place, after Taoist friends came out, has changed a lot, and there may not be gains in the future, will it be? Taoist friends are overwhelmed. Zhang Chushuan did not expect that Xiao Xuanzi could see through the results, so he had to explain. After accepting the inheritance, the ancestor of the dragon family said that he must sleep for 10 years before he can wake up again. Quote. This is also the reason why Taoists can't feel that breath. So it is. 99. After the doubts in his heart disappeared, Xiao Xuanzi's mood also improved a lot, and then asked, Zhang Daoyu, where are we going next? 95. Go. Water Dragon Hall. Zhang Chushuan thought a little and determined his destination. It had been a while since he came out, and he had originally decided to settle the matter of the Water Dragon Hall first and return home. It's just that I met Xiao Xuanzi on the road, which delayed a little time. Water Dragon Hall, that is the 6th-rank force, but Taoist friends have dealings with the people in it. Count it out. Hearing this, Xiao Xuanzi suddenly stopped advancing. Zhang Chushuan walked for a while before finding that Xiao Xuanzi beside him was missing. He looked back, Xiao Xuanzi's expression was changing, as if he was thinking hard, so he asked, Daoyu, what's wrong? It's not a secret. Xiao Xuanzi finally said the reason why he would not move forward. In the early years of the poor Dao, there was some discord with the people of the Water Dragon Hall. I am afraid that this trip will not be able to go the same way with Taoists. 39. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan nodded understandingly. In that case, then I won't force it, let's take our leave. Good. 86%. Chapter 343 The biggest under the sky is the little villain. When the two were about to separate, Xiao Xuanzi suddenly said to Zhang Chushuan, Zhang Daoyu, poor Dao has some interest in the Yanwang dynasty where you are located, and may go there. Maybe we'll see each other again. To be honest, although Xiao Xuanzi's strength is not strong now, Zhang Chushuan is somewhat optimistic about the other party. Since he had already shown this thought, Zhang Chushuan naturally would not let it go, so he nodded and said, "That's naturally very good. After solving the matter of the Water Dragon Hall, I will go back. I hope that Taoist friends will still be there by then. There will be a period later. There will be a period later." The two really separated at this point. Zhang Chushuan opened up in one step, and the space shifted. After flying for a distance in the wilderness, he found a city, and directly used some spirit stones to teleport towards the location of the Water Dragon Hall. However, while passing through Double Dragon City, Zhang Chushuan stopped and planned to stay for a while. Because he found that in this Double Dragon City, an auction was about to be held, and the time of the auction was 3 days later. "Officer, are you staying?" As soon as he arrived at the door of an inn, Zhang Chushuan did not show his intention to stop, and Shower at the door took the initiative to greet him and said with a smile, "Our store is good and cheap, such as if the guest official stays in the hotel, there are still discounts, come in and take a look." Zhang Chushuan smiled. Such an enthusiastic little two is rare, so he nodded and said, "Prepare an upper room for me and send some of the store's signature spiritual dishes in." "Okay, officer, please over here." Ideographic, 35. When Shower heard this, he was overjoyed and hurriedly pulled Zhang Chushuan upstairs. After enjoying the food brought by Shower and taking a short rest, it was already evening, and Zhang Chushuan decided to go out for a walk. Perhaps because it is relatively close to the Water Dragon Hall, even at night, Shuanglong City is full of people, very lively, and all kinds of shouts are endless. Click. Suddenly, just as Zhang Chushuan was casually touring and enjoying the night view of Double Dragon City, he bumped into a brocade boy. A rouge box in Gongzi's hand suddenly fell to the ground, and the rouge was scattered on the ground, and the surrounding area was suddenly filled with aroma, attracting everyone's attention. "I don't have long eyes." The brocade boy snorted coldly, glanced at the rouge box on the ground, and immediately said angrily, "Smelly boy, do you know how expensive this rouge is?" Zhang Chushuan originally wanted to accuse the other party, but he paid rouge. But the other party's attitude made him very unhappy, so he said in a deep voice, "Oh. How expensive are there? Can I buy Double Dragon City?" "You can't buy Double Dragon City, but it's no problem for you to leave this Double Dragon City." The brocade boy's face was fierce, and his whole body exuded anger, as if he wanted to tear Zhang Chushuan alive. "Young master." At the same time, the two ladies who were originally mixed in the crowd suddenly walked over after seeing their young master being rushed by. They have big waists and round waists, and their faces are angry, and children will cry when they see it. "Boy, apologize to our young master. Yes, if you don't satisfy my young master today, don't think about leaving." Zhang Chushuan glanced at them, just two servants of the Jindan realm, so he didn't have any interest, just looked at the brocade boy and said, "Where did Rouge buy it?" But at this time, young master Jinyi seemed to change his thoughts in his heart, stretched out his hand and pointed at Zhang Chushuan, and said with an evil smile, "Young master Ben, I suddenly changed my attention, you drilled under my crotch, I will spare you today, otherwise, Threats, naked threats. Zhang Chushuan never eats this set. Others respect him by 1 foot, and he returns 1 foot to others. Yo, isn't this the young master of the Qin family? How did it come out tonight? It stands to reason that at this time, he is exchanging feelings in a certain Hua Kui's room. You don't know that, do you? Lulinger Hua Kui appeared for the first time tonight. Young Master Qin naturally wanted to go to the show. "No, I bought the most expensive rouge in the city, just to make the beauty smile." Quote. "Oh, there is a good show to watch now. Who doesn't know that young Master Qin is with Hua Kui every day, which can be regarded as touching his reverse scales? Who says it's not?" The voices of a group of onlookers sounded. Zhang Chushuan immediately understood. This is just a son-in-law brother of a family, who likes to bully others with his identity. It's just a bit of a fictional villain, who actually bullied him. Zhang Chushuan. This young Master Qin was hollowed out by wine at first glance, and the cultivation of the Jindan realm was afraid that even the great cultivators of the transformation spirit realm could not beat it, which was really wasted to the extreme. How else? Zhang Chushuan's body suddenly erupted with the strength of the peak of the divine mansion realm, causing a gust of wind to stir up all around, and many people retreated one after another, and their eyes were full of horror when they looked at Zhang Chushuan. Zero asking for flowers. But this young Master Qin seemed to be attracted all the attention by that Hua Kui, and did not notice the panicked appearance of the two servants beside him. Otherwise, I will say that you will break up 10,000 pieces of corpses and throw them out to feed the dogs. Quote. Prick. Under everyone's stunned gaze, Zhang Chushuan didn't even stretch out his hand, and young Master Qin in front of him was torn apart, blood spilled to the ground, and splattered at the same time to the faces of those two servants. The two of them looked dumbfounded, as if they couldn't believe everything in front of them, but Zhang Chushuan spoke up again and made them come to their senses. Don't throw your master out yet. Feed the dog. Yes. Ah no. The two subconsciously agreed, but quickly reacted and hurriedly retreated. You killed the young master. Point 0. Bastard, you can't get out of this double dragon city safely, you're dead. Zhang Chushuan's face was strange. I don't know if this servant is loyal, or has no brains. At this time, he still dares to threaten himself. Shaking his head slightly, Zhang Chushuan kicked the two into the air, and after landing on the ground, there was no breath. Looking at the people around them, their cold eyes suddenly made them retreat one after another. Zhang Chushuan then cut through the crowd and walked away, seemingly just casually killing a few barking dogs. Soon, what happened here reached the ears of the Qin family, and the patriarch was immediately furious, and immediately sent someone to prepare to arrest the murderer. At the same time, he also reported the news to the Water Dragon Hall. After all, his son was a disciple of an elder of the Water Dragon Hall, and he was killed, and the elder always had to express it, otherwise it would definitely make people feel cold. Zhang Chushuan didn't know what happened afterward, and after solving the three of them, he went straight ahead. The streets are very annoying. Selling artists, hawking, fighting along the street, everything. Suddenly, Zhang Chushuan only felt a movement on his shoulders and was stopped by someone. This Taoist friend, in Sha Wei Yuanxin, seeing that Taoist friends have an extraordinary temperament, they dare to come and make a friend. The person who came was serving in the Water Dragon Hall, with long hair and shawls, and a light and clean face, revealing an angular coldness, but at this time, he was full of smiles, dissolving that trace of coldness. Behind him, there were several disciples of the Water Dragon Hall, who were looking puzzled, not understanding what their master brother was doing when he stopped Zhang Chushuan, a stranger. Hee, it's kind of interesting. River. 87%. Chapter 344. Is it okay to open a house? I'm not that kind of person. Wei Yuanxin's sudden obstruction not only surprised Zhang Chushuan, but even the juniors and disciples beside him were also curious. Taoist, if there is nothing to do, you may as well come and talk about it. Pointing to an inn not far from the side, Wei Yuanxin smiled and said, don't worry, you won't be able to delay Taoist friends for long. Quote. After hearing Wei Yuanxin's self-report, Zhang Chushuan immediately guessed that this guy had something to do with the hallmaster of the Water Dragon Hall, and after a little thought, he nodded and agreed. Wei Yuanxin was immediately overjoyed when he saw this, and hurriedly invited Zhang Chushuan to go. After taking a seat, Wei Yuanxin gave Zhang Chushuan a cup of tea, and then said, Feng Kai is more abrupt in the next, and it is strange to invite Taoist friends. It's okay, I don't know what is going on with you. 35 feet. Zhang Chushuan didn't believe it. The other party stopped him, just curious, there must be something. Sure enough, after some small talk, Wei Yuanxin finally said his purpose. It's not a secret. 3 days later, it will be the day when the secret realm of my Water Dragon Hall opens, but there is not enough popularity below, and the junior disciples in the hall have only summoned a few people beside him. Zhang Chushuan glanced at it, and beside Wei Yuanxin, there were 3 Water Dragon Hall disciples looking at him fiercely, as if they would attack him as long as he didn't say a word right. Ignoring them, Zhang Chushuan said, so, Taoist friends want to invite you to go with you next. Dao Yu is wise. Extending a thumbs up to Zhang Chushuan, Wei Yuanxin continued. If Taoist friends don't dislike it, you can form a team with the next one, and at that time, you can pay some additional remuneration in the next one. Thank you Taoists for helping. Actually, there is also a reason for the incident, which is why it is a last resort. On the side, the 3 disciples of the Water, 440, Dragon Hall nodded slightly, agreeing with their master brother's words. This is only because their master brother is in the hall. There is a Taoist, but when he went out to practice not long ago, his body was highly poisonous, and after the investigation of the elders in the hall, it was found that only a medicinal material in the secret realm, with other assistance, could unlock the poison on the body of the master brother and Taoist. Because at this time, the master brother sent invitations to the practitioners of the gate more than once, but in the end, only the 3 of them agreed to come down, but to go to the secret realm, at least 5 people are needed, otherwise they will lose the qualifications to enter. This made Wei Yuanxin scratch his ears and cheeks for a while, and after no one in the hall agreed, he came to wander around Double Dragon City for a long time, hoping to find a helper, find that medicinal material, and solve the poison on the Taoist couple. After listening to the other party's explanation, Zhang Chushuan nodded and agreed. However, I still want to participate in the auction of Double Dragon City in 3 days. I don't know when the secret realm in the Water Dragon Hall will open. Hehe, don't worry about this, Taoist. Upon hearing this, Wei Yuanxin immediately smiled and said, because the opening of the secret realm was calculated by the elders of the gate only a few days ago, so tomorrow morning, this news will definitely come out, and at that time, I believe that the auction will also be postponed, because the Water Dragon Hall will not prevent the rest of the cultivators from entering the secret realm. 9. Zhang Chushuan suddenly understood why Wei Yuanxin couldn't win over fellow cultivators. Presumably they had more powerful foreign aid, and naturally they couldn't look at fellow disciples of similar strength. Then there will be no problem in Sha, and at that time, I will ask Taoist friends to spread the news, and rush to the Water Dragon Hall in Shahao and go together. Taoist, if you have nothing to do in this Double Dragon City, you can go back to the Water Dragon Hall with me, and tell Taoist friends some points that need attention. Wei Yuanxin seemed to be in a hurry and wanted to tie Zhang Chushuan to his side. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan nodded and agreed. He was just about to see what was going on in the Water Dragon Hall, and now Wei Yuanxin led the way, but it saved him a lot of trouble. Okay, then it's settled. Taoist friends, come with me. Receiving a positive answer, Wei Yuanxin was overjoyed, so excited that he grabbed Zhang Chushuan's wrist and ran out. With a helpless smile, Zhang Chushuan caught the traces and broke free of the other party, but also followed his ears. Several streams of light streaked across the night sky, and the figures of the 5 of them flashed and ran towards the Water Dragon Hall. The Water Dragon Hall was not very far from Double Dragon City, and it was only half an hour before they came to the mountain gate of the Water Dragon Hall. Because there are rules in the hall, Wei Yuanxin can only stop and walk step by step. On the way, he kept introducing Zhang Chushuan to the layout of the Water Dragon Hall and some forbidden places where he could not walk around. Before they knew it, they had arrived at his residence. After giving up the largest of the rooms, Wei Yuanxin said with some waiting to be moved, originally, I wanted to arrange Taoist friends in the guest house, but I wanted to find Taoists as soon as possible, so I took it upon myself to make my own decisions and arrange them to enter the private residence below. I only hope that Taoists will not be disgusted. Quote. When the secret realm is opened, what is the point? Zhang Chushuan bypassed the topic of the other party and got straight to the point. Hearing this, Wei Yuan's expression became solemn. To say that there is no elegance in this, in fact, there is nothing, but there is a place that requires the 5 of us to work together to pass, otherwise, we can only return in disgrace, which is why Taoists must come to the Water Dragon Hall in the future. I want to familiarize myself with this skill in advance. 35. Well, it's getting late. Taoist friends will rest first, and tomorrow morning, I will come back to disturb you. 99. After saying that, Wei Yuanxin confessed and took the initiative to leave the place, leaving only Zhang Chushuan alone. After familiarizing himself with the arrangement in the room, Zhang Chushuan jumped out of the window and disappeared into the night. The layout of the Water Dragon Hall is very ordinary, except for some forbidden places guarded by many disciples. The rest of the places, Zhang Chushuan is familiar with a lot. On the highest mountain in the middle, there is the main hall of the Water Dragon Hall. In front of the hall there is a huge square. On weekdays there are various activities or things. The Water Dragon Hall will gather disciples and announce here. On the right-hand side of the main hall is where the library pavilion and the martial arts training ground are located. Although it is already night, there are still some Water Dragon Hall disciples who are going in and out of it, and it can be seen that they are very hardworking. On the left is the alchemy room and refining pavilion of the Water Dragon Hall. Because the secret realm is about to open, this place is even more lively, almost overcrowded. Zhang Chushuan mixed in the crowd, but there is no need to worry about others recognizing him. In the direction of the back mountain, it is the Valiant Hall of the Water Dragon Hall and the prison place, and further back, Zhang Chushuan did not go. He already knew that it was the place of the secret realm that was about to open, and many elders were busy in it, as if they were arranging a formation to help them open the secret realm. After walking around the Water Dragon Hall, it was close to dawn, and Zhang Chushuan returned to the residence that Wei Yuanxin had prepared for him and sat down cross-kneeled. Knock knock. Not long after dawn, Wei Yuanxin came here and apologized to Zhang Chushuan. Taoist, let the 4 of us get acquainted with each other today. When you enter the secret realm, you can take care of each other. 99. Wei Yuanxin was very humble and sincere. Originally, Zhang Chushuan just planned to find the head of the Water Dragon Hall and the elders after entering the Water Dragon Hall again, and solve the problem of the Water Dragon Hall. But after seeing that secret place last night, I suddenly changed my mind. Looking at the degree of importance they valued, I am afraid that there are many places worth exploring, so after hearing Wei Yuanxin's invitation, he nodded slightly and agreed. A group of 5 people arrived at the martial arts training ground, and at this time there were already many Water Dragon Hall disciples in the field, as well as the rest of the cultivators who served different things. They were either in 2s and 3s, as if they were waiting for their companions, or groups of 5, and they had begun to familiarize themselves with the techniques Wei Yuanxin had mentioned before. Finding a relatively empty place, Wei Yuanxin and the 5 stopped here. Zhang Daoyu, this is Ji Yu Qingyan, a disciple of the inner sect of the Water Dragon Hall. This is also a disciple of the inner sect of the Water Dragon Hall, Yi Feng. Outer disciples, close for 9 days. The 3 of them hugged their fists slightly towards Zhang Chushuan, which can be regarded as acquaintance. Wei Yuanxin did not ink, and opened his mouth and said to the 5 people, as a disciple of the Water Dragon Hall, presumably these 5 elements return to the Yuan array, everyone is more familiar, and the arrival of all of you today is to familiarize Zhang Daoyu with it, and enter the secret realm in the future, so as not to be busy. Remember, if you can control as much strength as possible, you must control it and not cause damage. Brother Master, don't worry, we have practiced the 5 elements returning Yuan array no less than thousands of times, and we have long been familiar with it, and we have our own proportions. 5. Hearing this, Wei Yuanxin didn't say much, but ordered them to each occupy a position, and at the same time threw Zhang Chushuan a piece of jade jane. Taoist, this is a part of the 5 elements returning Yuan array that belongs to you. Thank you. After taking the jade jane, Zhang Chushuan pasted it on his forehead, and after discovering that it was only part of the 5 elements returning Yuan array, he gave up the plan of a 100-fold reward. Although the 100-fold reward system can also fully deduce the formation, there must be some discrepancies between the big formation of the Water Dragon Hall, and he wants to collect more and see if he can make more and more powerful formations. The gods are above, and the earth's monarchs are below. East Xuanwu, West White Tiger, South Vermilion Bird, North Qinglong. The princes have given me divine power, helped me to walk together, the 5 elements return to the Yuan, and heaven and earth resonate. Quote. Kai. 35. When the other 4 people pronounced the formation mantra in Wei Yuan's heart, they also pinched the trick one after another, and the words 0 were chanted in their mouths. What Zhang Chushuan obtained was the Qinglong section to which the true north position belonged, and after familiarizing himself with the mantra, he also did the same. In an instant, a mysterious aura fell from the heads of the 5 people, enveloping them. Zhang Chushuan clearly felt that after the formation was first formed, his spiritual power quickly poured out and converged towards Wei Yuanxin in the middle. With a light sigh, Wei Yuanxin's handsome face suddenly turned red, as if he was under great pressure. The breath on his body was also rapidly climbing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and he replied to the peak of the Jindan realm in the blink of an eye, but this did not stop, and he swooped all the way and went directly towards the divine mansion true monarch. This is not right. According to Wei Yuanxin's estimate, after he reached the peak of the Jindan realm, he should stop and stabilize, but reality gave him a great surprise, and his own cultivation was still climbing. What the hell is going on? Because his body could not meet the conditions required by the divine mansion true monarch, he felt that every piece of flesh and blood in his body was constantly being torn apart, and then fused, over and over again. He turned his head with difficulty and looked at the other 4, and immediately found that it was Zhang Chushuan who caused this, so he hurriedly drank softly. Everyone, stop. 99. When the 4 people heard this, they all slowly withdrew, and there was a trace of confusion in their eyes when they looked at Wei Yuanxin. Phew. After a long exhale, after his body recovered slightly, Wei Yuanxin looked at Zhang Chushuan with shocked eyes and said, Senior, are you a true monarch? Between words, Wei Yuanxin felt a little more respectful and jealous of Zhang Chushuan, and he suddenly wondered if he had made a wrong decision to invite Zhang Chushuan. As soon as these words came out, the other 3 looked at Zhang Chushuan, their eyes full of horror. Zhang Chushuan didn't expect that Wei Yuanxin actually discovered his situation all of a sudden, so he didn't hide it, and nodded slightly. I don't know what's wrong with you. Senior, it's better to call Junior Yuanxin. With a bitter smile, Wei Yuanxin said, Senior, these 5 elements return to the Yuan array, requiring the person in the middle to cultivate is the highest, and there were many offenses before, and it is not strange to ask the seniors. Hee, it's okay. Smiling and waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan said, this array is somewhat subtle, and I am very interested in it. However, I think you should not be able to bear it at this time. Do you need to take a break? Aha! With a muffled snort, a trace of blood spilled from the corner of Wei Yuanxin's mouth, which was some internal injuries brought about by the formation counter-engulfment. Although several of them stopped in time, he was still inevitably devoured. Hee, let the seniors smile. Wei Yuanxin, who originally wanted to be strong, was relieved after highlighting a mouthful of blood. Since the seniors are true monarchs and strong, then these 5 elements return to the Yuan formation. If you don't practice, but you didn't prepare for 4.4 before the next one, delaying the seniors' time. 5. No harm. 99. Shaking his head slightly, Zhang Chushuan said a few words to the 4 people, and was about to leave when he suddenly heard a strange voice of Yin and Yang. Yo, isn't this a master brother? Why was he so careless and injured by a sparring disciple? Tisk, if you want me to say, you better go back and rest for 10 days and a half months first. It is dangerous to enter the secret realm in your state. Everyone looked for prestige and found that it was a disciple of the Water Dragon Hall, who was coming step by step. The person who came was also rich and handsome, but the corners of his eyes hung upward, destroying his overall face and having some evil aura. Humph. 35. When Wei Yuanxin heard this, he snorted coldly and said lightly, Third junior brother doesn't go and prepare well. What are you doing here? Do you need anything to prepare? This third junior disciple looked disdainful and said, it's just a secret realm. I don't know how many times I have entered the Water Dragon Hall, and I naturally know it well, and it is enough to have these fellow disciples around me. Beside the third junior disciples, there were 4 Water Dragon Hall disciples, all with arrogant faces, and they were very disdainful of Wei Yuanxin and the others. Unlike you, senior brother, you don't even have enough manpower. You have to ask for help from the outside world, and you are also devoured by the formation. Aren't you the one who lost my Water Dragon Hall? From beginning to end, the third junior brother never looked at Zhang Chushuan and the others. When Wei Yuanxin heard this, his face became even more ugly, and he said, there is no need for the third junior brother to worry. After saying that, Wei Yuanxin beckoned Zhang Chushuan and the others to leave, but was stopped by the other party, and the spearhead was pointed at Zhang Chushuan. Brother Master, I see that you are a Taoist friend. It seems that there is something else. 87%. Chapter 345. A glance at the retreating ants, the secret realm opens. Subscription required. As soon as he came up, the third junior disciple sneered at Zhang Chushuan, and this time it was even more for tat. Hearing this, Wei Yuanxin took the initiative to walk up to Zhang Chushuan, smiled apologetically at him, and then said to the third junior brother, this is really. This Taoist friend, advise you not to offend. 39. Oh, could it be that there is a big future? Is it the elder of Wenxin Academy, or the master of the Blood Knife Gate? The words were full of ridicule, and the third junior disciple suddenly looked at Zhang Chushuan and said, I suspect that you are the murderer who murdered my Water Dragon Hall disciples on the street. Come with me. Zhang Chushuan was still a little confused at first, but after thinking about it carefully, he suddenly remembered that when he was on the street of Shuanglong City last night, he shot and killed a brocade boy surnamed Qin, so he smiled and said, Who are you? On the side, Wei Yuanxin's face was full of surprise. It seemed that Zhang Chushuan had really killed a Water Dragon Hall disciple. Humph, I am his cousin, and I have come today to arrest you and avenge my cousin. Quote. The third junior brother suddenly snorted coldly and said, Here, take this thief for me. Third senior brother, I advise you to think deeply. When Wei Yuanxin heard this, his complexion changed greatly, and he once again blocked in front of Zhang Chushuan's face 04, with a solemn expression, this is not someone you can mess with. In fact, this is all Wei Yuanxin's good for him, but at this time, his third junior brother did not listen to these words at all, and seeing that the 4 people beside him had not yet started, he couldn't help but drink. What are you doing stunned? Up. What happened? I will bear it for you. Anyway, this master brother will not deliberately embarrass you, am I right, master brother? The master brother's face turned red, but he did not speak. Originally, his father was the master of the Water Dragon Hall, but many elders were dissatisfied with him, and finally united everyone to isolate them, and even the rest of the disciples did not put him in the eyes of this master brother. Up, brothers, avenge senior brother Qin. This thief must be uneasy and kind. It's just a few shrimps that are not in the Jindan realm, and Zhang Chushuan didn't even look at them. Boom. The invisible force broke out, and these people had already flown upside down, falling heavily on the ground, and constantly screaming. They failed before they even had time to see how Zhang Chushuan did it. The third junior brother's complexion finally changed. He looked at Zhang Chushuan vigilantly, subconsciously took a few steps back, and said, "Who are you?" At this time, he no longer had the previous arrogance, only nervousness and apprehension. "Oh, am I not the murderer of your cousin? Why, don't know me anymore? You're losing your amnesia too quickly, aren't you?" 39. What cousin? I have no idea what you're talking about. The third junior brother knew that it was impossible for him to kill those 4 followers on weekdays, but the other party was easy, and his strength was definitely much stronger than himself. He couldn't mess with it, at least not now, so he could only pretend to be crazy and sell stupidly. Hee, what a cousin. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan sneered, did not deal with such a person, turned to Wei Yuanxin and said, "Wei Daoyu, if there is nothing to do next, I will go first." Yes, please rest assured, senior, I will definitely handle things here. When the third junior disciple saw Wei Yuanxin's attitude towards Zhang Chushuan, his heart was like ashes. Predecessor, could it be that this young man in front of him is the true monarch of the divine mansion, the strength of the strongest person in the Water Dragon Hall? How could he provoke such a person? Seeing that the two did not pay attention to themselves, the third junior brother quietly left back, and then ran away with a smoke. After returning from the martial arts training ground, Zhang Chushuan never went out again, and Wei Yuanxin did not come to disturb him. Although Yu Jian automatically destroyed it after reading it, Zhang Chushuan had already memorized the contents. Try to see if the 100-fold reward system has any effect on this formation. With a thought, the virtual system had already received part of the information about the 5 elements returning Yuan array, and soon after, the feedback was transmitted to Zhang Chushuan's mind. But to his disappointment, these 5 elements returned to the Yuan array. Because of the lack of the rest of the content, the system actually did not double for the first time, which made Zhang Chushuan depressed. Could it be that this formation is fake? No way, it shouldn't be. Quote. Hurriedly shaking his head to negate his inner thoughts, Zhang Chushuan suddenly had a bold idea. Perhaps, these 5 elements returning Yuan array is only a part of a certain formation, and the whole also exists, and the 100-fold reward system should need a complete formation in order to strengthen it and increase it and obtain a more powerful formation. Not entangled in this matter, Zhang Chushuan meditated cross-kneeled, ready to welcome the old age of the secret realm. Sure enough, as Wei Yuanxin said, when Zhang Chushuan and they went to the martial arts training ground, the Water Dragon Hall had already spread the news that the secret realm was about to open, and the auction house in Double Dragon City waited and released the news. The auction was temporarily cancelled, and it would be held after the Taoists came out of the secret realm. At the same time, they also welcome all Taoists to take the proceeds of the secret realm to the auction house for trading, and they will definitely give a fair price. This news immediately caused the cultivators of Double Dragon City to boil and rush to the Water Dragon Hall. But before the secret realm was opened, the Water Dragon Hall was not entertaining, and they could only find a place outside the hall to settle down temporarily. 3 days passed in a flash, and early in the morning, outside the Water Dragon Hall, countless cultivators gathered, and the crowd was crowded, and a complete figure could hardly be seen. 440 inches, guys, be quiet. Just as everyone was talking, an elder appeared in front of the gate of the Water Dragon Hall and announced to everyone, the secret realm of the Water Dragon Hall is about to open, please prepare and enter it. It's finally time to wait for this day. Yes, this secret realm has not been opened for a long time, and it has never been open to the outside world before, and I don't know if the Water Dragon Hall is kind this time, or what's going on, and actually allows us outsiders to enter it. 99. What do you do with so much? I only know that in the secret realm, there must be many heavenly and earth treasures, and there will be a lot of harvests at that time. Everyone was talking, and after announcing this matter, the elder of the Water Dragon Hall signaled the disciples to let everyone go. The time limit is 3 hours, and it will not wait. After saying that, the elders of the Water Dragon Hall rode the wind and left, leaving only everyone with excited faces pouring towards the Water Dragon Hall. Senior, it's time for us to go. 5. In front of Wei Yuanxin's private residence, seeing that Zhang Chushuan was still appearing, Wei Yuanxin was a little anxious, and took the initiative to come and said, if you arrive early, you can occupy some initiative. 99. Let's go. Just as Wei Yuanxin was about to continue speaking, Zhang Chushuan walked out of the room with a smile on his lips. Seeing this, Wei Yuanxin immediately nodded in agreement and guided Zhang Chushuan towards the back mountain. 87%. Chapter 346. The game is about to start. There are long and short, and the depth is shallow. Where the secret realm of the mountain behind the Water Dragon Hall opened, many Water Dragon Hall disciples had gathered at this time, as well as foreign cultivators, and the cultivators behind them stood on tiptoe and wanted to find out. With his identity as the master brother of the Water Dragon Hall, Wei Yuanxin walked through the crowded crowd and came to the front. At this time, Zhang Chushuan finally saw the ground clearly. A spatial crack opened by the joint efforts of the elders was opening little by little, and the rest of the disciples stood aside excitedly, waiting for the secret realm to officially open. Brother Master. After Ji Yu Qingyan and the others saw them, they immediately surrounded them and greeted each other. Okay, don't talk yet, let's watch the elders open the door. 99. Wei Yuanxin said softly, and the rest of the people shut up one after another and turned their heads to look ahead. Drink. The elders shouted angrily at this time. The spiritual power continued to be output, and the gap opened by the spatial crack was getting bigger and bigger, and it was already able to accommodate 3 or 5 people to pass through. However, for the large number of people in this area, it is still somewhat insufficient. Therefore, the great elder of the Water Dragon Hall immediately shouted to the rest of the people, everyone, step up, open the spatial crack on time, and send all Taoists to the secret realm. Yes. With an order, the rest of the elders no longer hid their secrets, and they all worked hard to expand the spatial crack. After half an hour, the spatial crack no longer expanded, and at this time, it could already accommodate dozens of people to pass through it at the same time. After stabilizing the formation, the great elder turned to face everyone and said, disciples, fellow Taoists, today is the day when the secret realm of my Water Dragon Hall is opened. I hope that after you enter, you will not indiscriminately kill the innocent and try to bring out the gains from the secret realm. Quote. The old man and the elders will wait here and reward them according to the goods you have brought out. Among them, bring out 10 high-grade elixirs, and you can stay in the library of my Water Dragon Hall for 10 days. Bring out 10 high-grade treasure medicines, and you can stay in my Water Dragon Hall library pavilion and alchemy room for 10 days each. 99. As for the legendary elixir, it should not be visible. However, my Water Dragon Hall has also made corresponding rewards, and anyone who brings out an immortal medicine, regardless of grade, can become a guest elder of my Water Dragon Hall and enjoy the worship of the Water Dragon Hall. Quote. Whoosh. As soon as these words came out, the scene immediately boiled, and many cultivators even wanted to enter the secret realm and find an opportunity. There may be news of immortal medicine in this, but the first time I heard it, everyone squeezed their heads even more, wanting to get the immortal medicine in the word. As for the position of elder catching, let's wait to talk about it. Quiet. The culprit who caused this sensation, the great elder of the Water Dragon Hall, saw that everyone was making a noise, but he snorted coldly and said, after entering the secret realm, there is only one requirement. The same sect must not kill each other. If there are Taoists and Water Dragon Hall disciples who team up with each other to be attacked, after resolving the fight, the Water Dragon Hall will thank you again. Okay, the auspicious time has arrived, let's go. The great elder didn't have anything to say, just restraining the cultivators from doing anything at will, so he walked to the side and signaled everyone to enter. Of course, the disciples of the Water Dragon Hall at the forefront enjoy the right of priority passage. The third junior brother who came to look for trouble in front of Liang Li before leaving, glanced at Zhang Chushuan and the others with deep meaning, and then quickly entered it. The rest of the Water Dragon Hall disciples followed one after another, and most of them walked away in the blink of an eye. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan was still standing in place, with no intention of moving, Wei Yuanxin couldn't help but say, Senior, aren't we going in? No hurry, after the Water Dragon Hall disciples have entered it, we will go. Glancing at the conspicuous service on their bodies, Zhang Chushuan frowned slightly and said, I think it's better for you to change your clothes, so conspicuous, it is easy to be attacked by fire. The four of Wei Yuanxin looked at each other, and they all felt that there was something wrong with wearing the Water Dragon Hall disciples to serve, and the idea that it might save their lives at a critical moment. But Zhang Chushuan spoke, and they did so. Soon, all the disciples of the Water Dragon Hall entered it, and after the great elder took a look and did not find the leaking Water Dragon Hall disciples, he said to the foreign cultivators, Fellow Taoists, please come in. 99. Hey, this Water Dragon Hall is really treated differently. Although everyone rushed towards the spatial crack, there was still a burst of grumbling. They're disciples of the Water Dragon Hall. Even if their strength is weaker than ours, they can still go first. Quote. That's all. We are not allowed to attack. Without capturing the treasure, this exploration of the secret realm will lose a large part of the fun. Forget it, Taoist, it is already kind that the water dragon hall can open the secret realm to me and others, let's not be picky. 35. That is, if there is time to complain, it is better to speed up and try to find more opportunities. 35. The voices of the crowd were different, and when most of the foreign cultivators were about to leave, Zhang Chushuan said to a few people around him, let's go in 2. 5. Third senior brother, didn't they come? At this time, at the entrance of the secret realm, the third junior brother and the 4 people around him were constantly looking at the cultivators who came in, but they still did not find the target. Seeing that everyone was about to come in, Wei Yuanxin and the others didn't even see the shadow, and some people had already begun to complain. Yes, it's not a way for us to wait like this, maybe they are afraid of the third senior brother, and they have changed their clothes, and it is impossible for us to find them in a short time. Seeing this, the third junior brother did not say a word with a cold face. When the last cultivator entered, he turned around and said to the 4 people beside him, go, leave them alone, the goal is important. Yes, third senior brother, we can't wait for a long time. Quote. The group of 5 people left quickly, but it seemed to have a fixed route, went around in circles, and quickly disappeared. At this time, behind a thick tree at the exit of the secret realm, 5 people appeared. It was Wei Yuanxin and Zhang Chushuan and them. Senior, how do you know that third senior brother and the others will always wait for us? Wei Yuanxin admired Zhang Chushuan's foresight at this time, although he knew that in this secret realm, they would collide with the third junior brother and his party, but he did not expect that the third junior brother would be so bold and directly intercept at the exit. If it weren't for Zhang Chushuan, they would have been recruited. Facing Wei Yuanxin's doubts, Zhang Chushuan just smiled mysteriously. It's nothing, it's just experience. Well, first help you find the medicinal materials that detoxify the Taoist body, and the game can officially begin. Wei Yuanxin felt that Zhang Chushuan's words were a little inexplicable, but after hearing that he wanted to help him find medicinal materials first, he was immediately overjoyed. Thank you, Senior. Senior, I know that there is a place that probably has the medicinal materials I need, so we can go there and have a look first. So what are you waiting for? Lead the way. A group of 5 figures quickly shuttled through the dense forest, and soon disappeared. The secret realm is huge, almost covering the next state, and the scenery is different. In addition to the dense forest where Zhang Chushuan is located, there are swamps, deserts, grasslands, mountains and other different places, and each area is visited one after another. The dense forest is very gloomy, but everyone is a cultivator, and they don't care about it. It's just that the mosquitoes that appear from time to time are very annoying, and Ji Yu Qingyan and others have been bitten out of many red envelopes, which is very itchy. Senior, there is another way. We are about to arrive, but there are demon beasts guarding that place, and we may need seniors to intervene at that time. 35. When he said this, Wei Yuanxin felt a little ashamed. In his original plan, he was going to invite a cultivator of similar strength to them, and one of them would lure the guardian demon beast away, and they would take the opportunity to collect the medicine and then meet at the pre-agreed place. But after seeing Zhang Chushuan's strength, he suddenly found that he was still thinking too troublesome. With Zhang Chushuan present, they could not only successfully obtain medicinal materials, but even kill the guardian demon beast and obtain some materials. Of course, all this is based on Zhang Chushuan's willingness to take action against the guardian demon beast. No harm. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan shook his head slightly and said with a smile, this secret realm looks unusual, I just want to explore it. Quote. When the herbs are picked, I'll go around and look around, and if everyone finds it troublesome, we can separate. Upon hearing this, Wei Yuanxin hurriedly shook his head and said, Senior, where are you talking about this? I waited to come in with my seniors, of course, to advance and retreat together. The seniors can take the lead in solving the urgent needs of the next, and they are already grateful in the next. How can they leave the seniors alone? I am not the kind of ungrateful. Yes, Senior, I will decide to follow you. Where you go, we will go. Thank you. 35. In a few words, the relationship between everyone has become a lot closer. After continuing for less than half an hour, Wei Yuanxin signaled everyone to stop. He stretched out his hand and pointed to a cave not far away. Senior, the cave is the medicinal materials needed for the next time. 99. This medicine is called snake ambergris flower, which is conceived by snake demon beasts, coveted irrigation in the mouth every day, itself highly toxic, but mixed with several other medicinal materials, made into elixir, it is a life-saving medicine. 5. Speaking, Wei Yuanxin took out a jade box from the storage bag, handed it to Zhang Chushuan, and said, I'll have to trouble seniors to help pick it up later, I may waste some time later. At that time, the guardian demon beast that was led away by us may come back, and then it will be trouble. Hee, don't bother so much. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan shook his head. He took the jade box, and said to the 4 people, wait a moment, I'll go pick the medicinal herbs, and I'll come back immediately. 95. Without waiting for Wei Yuanxin and the others to react, Zhang Chushuan's figure shot out and rushed into the cave. Senior, lowering his voice and exclaiming, Wei Yuanxin wanted to stop it, but found that it was too late, so he could only sigh continuously. Struggling in his heart for a long time, he looked at the 4 people beside him. Qingyan, you take your junior brother and flee far away, don't go near the cave, I'll help the senior. Brother Master, if you want to go, let's go together. Yes, Brother Master, we can't leave you alone. 35. The juniors and disciples spoke out one after another, saying that they would not leave them alone, and Wei Yuanxin saw this, and was about to stop persuading, and was about to follow Zhang Chushuan's back foot, when suddenly, a loud noise came from the cave ahead. This, looking at the mouth of the cave filled with smoke, the 4 people's eyes widened and full of disbelief. But in the next second, they flew out in unison, about to rush into the cave. Senior is still inside, we must go over to help. At this time, they completely forgot that Zhang Chushuan was a strong man of the divine mansion, and if even he couldn't solve the trouble, the few of them could only send them to death. Suddenly, the few people who were hurrying forward noticed that a black shadow was flying towards them overhead, and when they were about to start, Zhang Chushuan's indifferent voice came into the ears of the 4 people. You guys clean up and collect all the useful materials on the body of this red flame purple python. Poof. Along with the sound fell, it was the huge body of the red yan purple python, and the 4 people were stunned and almost forgot to move. It wasn't until the dust splashed from the huge body of the red yan purple python came to their faces that they gasped in unison, Senior. This is you. You killed the red flame purple python. 5. Who else could it be besides me? Glancing at them, Zhang Chushuan found a tree, leaned over, and said, hurry up, the snake gall and bones of the red yan purple python are rare heavenly treasures, you guys are hot. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Only then did the 4 people react and hurriedly moved their hands on the corpse of the red yan purple python. At this moment, Wei Yuanxin noticed a box rushing towards him. This is the snake ambergris you want, lucky, there are 3 in total. Thank you seniors for their great kindness. Hurriedly bowing to Zhang Chushuan, Wei Yuanxin opened the box and was about to hand 2 of them to Zhang Chushuan. Senior, you only need 1 flower in the next. This is what the seniors get, and you dare not ask for it in the next. 99. This thing is useless to me, you take it. But Zhang Chushuan seemed a little disgusted, and hurriedly said, besides, alchemy will not succeed at once. Prepare to, there will be more possibilities for success. You don't want to see your Taoist die because of this, right? 5. In fact, Zhang Chushuan stepped in to help Wei Yuanxin. Why didn't he see his own shadow in him? When Wei Yuanxin heard this, he immediately bent down and bowed, and said solemnly, Senior, this grace does not say thank you. In the future, wherever there is a need for my Wei Yuanxin, please inform the senior. Although it may not be able to help the seniors, it is still very necessary to deal with some chores. What will happen later? Let's talk about it later. 33. Waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan stopped speaking, and Wei Yuanxin also knew that many words would be lost, so after putting away the snake saliva flowers, it was convenient for the other 3 to deal with the body of the red yan purple python together. A quarter of an hour later, the bloody hands of the 4 people were holding some materials taken from the red flame python. They were beaming, but they didn't expect that as soon as they made a move, the harvest was very good. Brother Master, why don't we return all this to the seniors? 35. Hearing this, Wei Yuanxin glanced at Zhang Chushuan, who was sleeping not far away, pondered slightly, and finally shook his head and said, no, when the trip to the secret realm is over, we will hand it over to the seniors together. Otherwise, calling senior this time, he may get bored. What Master Brother said is extremely true. 87%. Chapter 347 is no longer hidden, the capital crime can be avoided, and the living crime is inevitable. After the 4 of them discussed it, they temporarily put away these materials for Zhang Chushuan and woke him up. Senior, I've already finished it, I don't know where I'm going to senior. Opening his eyes, seeing that the 4 people were already ready to go, Zhang Chushuan straightened his body and said with a smile, which place is closest to this place? It is best if we go to meet the same family who usually have enemies with you. Quote, quote. In an instant, Wei Yuanxin and the others understood the meaning of Zhang Chushuan's words, and frowned slightly. Senior, so. Isn't that right? The great elder had previously ordered that I would be equal to the same sect and not to kill each other in the secret realm. Quote, quote. It seems that you are bullied a lot on weekdays. Zhang Chushuan didn't expect that they would suddenly think of the murder, and couldn't help but laugh. Don't worry, we just met in the past, and we won't make a move. Wei Yuanxin relaxed his heart, pondered slightly, and said to Zhang Chushuan, Senior, after entering the secret realm, I found that there is a group that is not far from the direction we are going, and I can wait in front of them. Quote. Lead the way. As the sixth senior brother of the Water Dragon Hall, although Lu Hao was quite valued by the elders in the hall on weekdays, he was very dissatisfied in his heart. It is only because Wei Yuanxin is the son of the hall master, and his strength is mediocre, but he can ascend to the position of master brother, so 440 did not stumble on Wei Yuanxin and Ji Yu Qingyan and others who were close to him on weekdays. This time, he even chose a place where Wei Yuanxin and the others were likely to pass by, ready to ambush him. Senior brother Lu, after waiting for so long, big Wei Yuanxin's guy hasn't appeared yet, are we mistaken? Beside him, a slightly green-looking disciple finally couldn't stand the mosquitoes here and slowly spoke. When Lu Hao heard this, he sneered and said, there can be no mistake. That Wei Yuanxin, in order to unravel the poison in the Taoist body, will definitely pass by here to pick the snake ambergris flower, we just need to wait for the rabbit. But wouldn't it be better if we first went to the place where the snake saliva was, and a yellow sparrow came behind? Yes, senior brother Lu, if they go over first, won't we have waited for so long in vain? You know what? Turning back and glaring at these junior disciples, Lu Hao said, when I entered the secret realm just now, I paid attention to it and found that Wei Yuanxin's guy had never appeared, and I knew that he must be mixed in among foreign cultivators, trying to avoid us to pick snake saliva flowers. And the land of snakes and saliva flowers must be dangerous, and I will only send death when I wait to pass. How about waiting here and waiting for them to pick the snake ambergris flower, and we can take it away without much effort, and we can humiliate them. Yes, how good. 99. Suddenly, an unfamiliar voice entered everyone's ears, causing their faces to change greatly. Who? Lu Hao, together with several juniors and disciples, constantly observed the surroundings, but failed to find each other, and his heart became even more nervous. Who is there? Why don't the juniors who are hiding their heads dare to come out and see them? Here we are. After another unfamiliar voice sounded, Lu Hao's 5 people were in front of them, and 5 unfamiliar figures suddenly appeared, looking at them with a smile on their faces. HMPH. Seeing that their faces were unfamiliar and they were not disciples of the Water Dragon Hall, Lu Hao was suddenly full of confidence in his heart. You foreign guys, don't miss the goodness of our Water Dragon Hall, but want to do something to me. I don't know if I will be hunted down by the Water Dragon Hall after the incident. 35. Before leaving, Zhang Chushuan signaled Wei Yuanxin and the others to simply change their faces and reduce some trouble. Therefore, it is normal that Lu Hao and others cannot recognize them. After the change of appearance, Wei Yuanxin took 2 steps forward and said to Lu Hao, should you be Lu Hao, the 6th senior brother of the Water Dragon Hall? Humph. Knowing my identity, don't you hurry up and leave. Lu Hao was even more proud in his heart, although they were a little embarrassed at this time. The other party still recognized him at a glance. It seems that it is still beneficial to show up more on weekdays. But then, Wei Yuanxin's words made his face change slightly. Are you waiting for the master of the Water Dragon Hall? How do you know? After subconsciously speaking, Lu Hao knew that he had said the wrong thing, and hurriedly said, this is a matter between the disciples of my Water Dragon Hall. You are an outsider, do you still want to take care of it? Hee, don't care, but you have the final say. What do you mean by that? Lu Hao was a little confused for a while. Not only him, but also the 4 junior disciples beside him were also very curious. Where did this guy come from? I am Qian True Monarch. That kid in Wei Yuanxin is my year-old friend. Is it a little too much for you to beat him? What? True Monarch strong. 9. Lu Hao was suddenly shocked, subconsciously believed what the other party said, and immediately said, Senior, I don't know if I wait, and I ask Senior to spare me and wait. I swear that from now on, I will never do anything to Master Brother again. Oh, it's late. Sneering, Wei Yuanxin said, however, for the sake of your sincere attitude, the crime of death can be avoided, and the crime of life cannot be escaped. Quote. In this way, you will spare you if you break your arms. What, Senior, are you like this? Is it too much? At this time, Lu Hao and the others were ready to slip away at any time, but they also knew that if they wanted to escape from the hands of a true monarch and strong, they couldn't do it. Ever. When you bullied Wei Yuanxin, why didn't you feel too much? This, senior, you listen to us explain. Quote. No need to explain, come on. Seeing that this, true monarch senior, was moving towards them, Lu Hao couldn't care about anything else, and threw an iron ball in his hand, and suddenly, a jet black smoke instantly filled the air, and Lu Hao and the others laughed. Senior, although I respect you, don't think that you can leave me waiting. Oh, is it? Suddenly, a joking voice came from his ears, which suddenly made Lu Hao's sweat hair stand on end. He felt that his neck had been grasped by a cold hand, and as long as he moved slightly, he would die. Senior brother Lu. The other 4 people exclaimed one after another, and their bodies that had not escaped far away suddenly stopped, looking at them with horror on their faces. Senior, you. Lu Hao had difficulty breathing. He never expected that in addition to that Qian true monarch, there was another true monarch strong man hiding in it, which caught him off guard. At this time, the one holding Lu Hao's throat was, of course, the real true monarch and strong man, Zhang Chushuan. Begging for mercy at this time, is it too late? Sneering, Zhang Chushuan threw Lu Hao at Wei Yuanxin's feet and said, Taoist, let this person be at your disposal, but don't forget the purpose of our trip. 88%. Chapter 348 Treasures of the World, Jade Body Hengqian, Treasure Tree Lotus. Thank you, Daoyu. Wei Yuanxin threw his hand slightly at Zhang Chushuan, then stepped on Lu Hao's chest and said in a deep voice, Originally, I just wanted you to suffer some skin and flesh, so I released you. Quote. But now it seems that you thieves are immortal. Senior, I'll wait. I'm just confused for a while, and I ask the senior adults not to remember the villains, let me wait, a horse. It's late. Wei Yuanxin sneered and increased the strength on his feet, his eyes full of anger. Hand over the storage bags on your bodies, cut off your arms, and you can leave. Senior, Originally, Lu Hao still wanted to struggle, but after feeling the increasing force exerted on his body, he hurriedly agreed. Senior, I will come according to your request, and please let us go. 35. Hurry up. So, 5 storage bags landed at Wei Yuanxin's feet, and he just glanced at Lu Hao and said to him, Get out, Benjin doesn't want to see you again. Guys. 99. Lu Hao didn't say a word, took the 4 junior disciples who were already frightened, and hurriedly left. It wasn't until their breath completely disappeared that Wei Yuanxin and the 3 junior disciples laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, I haven't been so painful for a long time. I didn't expect Lu Hao to be so timid. Yes, senior brother, when he was in front of us, he was so arrogant, and now that he has seen the seniors, he is not humble and abnormal. After the 4 of them laughed, Chi saluted Zhang Chushuan and said solemnly, Thank you for the beauty of adulthood seniors. Some little things are not enough. Waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan motioned for them to put away the storage bag and said, Okay, go to the next place. I don't know, the next unlucky egg, will. Who is it? Ha ha ha. The 4 laughed again and left with Zhang Chushuan. After entering the secret realm, all the cultivators basically separated to avoid colliding with other teams. They must hurry up and harvest enough heaven and earth treasures and medicinal materials before the secret realm is closed, so that the trip is worthwhile. The 5 Zhang Chushuan searched for a long time, but they did not encounter a second team in this forest, so they stopped. Senior, it's not far from us, it's a swamp, do we want to go over? Go, why not go? Don't you want to take revenge and gain a lot without much effort? I think about it, it's just that this swampy place is the most dangerous and mysterious in the entire secret realm. Basically, no team can come out completely. Then even more, after wandering around in the dense forest for so long, Zhang Chushuan has figured out that this secret realm is the strongest, and it is only the peak of Jindan. It can be said that in this place, he is the sky, and no one can stop him, so he will not care too much about the swampy land at all. When Wei Yuanxin and the others heard this, they looked at each other, and finally agreed, well, since the seniors want to go, then I will naturally accompany them. 35. After determining the direction, the 5 people headed towards the swamp in unison, and the speed was very fast. The swampy land is shrouded in mist all year round, and the further you go, the thicker the fog becomes. However, according to the disciples of the Water Dragon Hall who were fortunate enough to come out alive from the deepest part of the swamp, in the depths of this swamp, there is a treasure tree that is at least a treasure medicine, and it will only bear lotus flowers every other year, and each time there is only 1 lotus. This puzzled many cultivators. After all, it was incredible that a tree could actually bloom lotus flowers. Although there is a chance to get this lotus, there are many dangers in it, because around the treasure tree, a group of ancient crocodiles inhabit, and they appear every time the lotus blooms. In addition to humans, they are also creatures interested in lotus flowers, and whenever this happens, they will participate in fierce competition. When they came to the edge of the swamp, Wei Yuanxin and the four hesitated, and finally Zhang Chushuan took the lead, and they hurriedly followed. Hey, why are there more Taoists in this swampy land? On the way, several people gradually found that in addition to them, there were many other monks who were constantly heading towards the center of the swamp, and they looked excited, as if something great good was about to happen. Thinking of the news brought back by the disciples in the hall before, Wei Yuanxin thought for a while, then understood, and said to Zhang Chushuan, Senior, that lotus flower calculates time and should also mature. These people should all go to the lotus. Aren't we going to speed up? With Zhang Chushuan leading the way, they were traveling much faster than ordinary people, but Rao was so, and there were still many monks ahead. Seeing this, Wei Yuanxin was a little anxious. But Zhang Chushuan has always looked lighthearted and does not seem interested in everything. Seeing that he didn't speak, Wei Yuanxin didn't dare to say much, but just hurried away. Shan Zonglo, what do you mean? After they had passed through the heavy sections and entered the center of the swamp, more than 10 people had gathered here, but they all surrounded a small piece of land in the middle, but did not come closer. During the period, a woman was facing the third senior brother, that is, the mountain heavy tower, and glared angrily, You are also too despicable, sneak attack from behind, in vain as the same door. Hee hee, this junior sister, the opportunity is all earned by yourself, don't be so excited. Shan Zonglo was very depressed because he did not intercept Wei Yuanxin and his party, and after coming here, he encountered the obstruction of this fellow junior sister, so he brazenly attacked and injured a member of her team. The two sides quarreled at this time, and the junior sister cursed even more, without any regard for her fairy demeanor. Excited, I'm not excited. Quote, you're going to give us an explanation. When the 5 Zhang Chushuan came, they happened to meet this scene. However, they did not step forward, but chose a better position and watched the play on the sidelines. Statement, Junior sister, stay here, when you return to the Water Dragon Hall, senior brother will give you another explanation, okay. This junior sister was originally just an ordinary disciple, and Wei Yuanxin, a true disciple of the Water Dragon Hall, was not the same, and when she returned to the Water Dragon Hall, those elders would definitely favor the mountain heavy tower, so she couldn't retreat at this time, otherwise her sister's injury would be in vain. Give a statement now, you must apologize for what you just did. Quote. Okay, this is an apology. Shan Zonglo always had a faint smile on his face, and at this time, he bowed slightly towards the injured woman and said, this junior sister, I can't stop it, senior brother Fang Kai didn't see it, it's no wonder. Kr. Obviously, the woman who spoke was very dissatisfied with the attitude of the mountain heavy building, and said angrily, mountain heavy building, this is your attitude. Junior sister, don't take an inch. The lotus flower is about to bloom, and Yamashi's tower does not want to waste time on this matter. Suddenly, Shan Zonglo only felt that his body suddenly leaned forward, and subconsciously shot at that junior sister. Poof. That junior sister didn't expect that the mountain heavy tower actually started at this time, and when she was defenseless, she was suddenly hit, spitting blood at the mouth, and flew out upside down. Third senior brother, you are too much. Yes, junior sister, they are so cute, how can you make a move against her? Apologize quickly, otherwise we won't forgive you. Originally, some melon-eating cultivators who did not understand the truth of the matter just wanted to watch the play after seeing the junior sister entangled in the triple building. But his hand directly made them believe that the third senior brother was at fault first, otherwise the junior sister would not be entangled by this. Shan Zonglo ignored them, but kept looking around and said in a deep voice, Who is secretly shooting? Get out of here quickly. Quote. Wei Yuanxin felt that it was Zhang Chushuan next to him who made a move, and at this time, seeing that the mountain was furious, he tried to hold back his laughter and did not speak. After barking incense like a wild dog, Shan Zonglo finally calmed down. Humph. Today's events, I have ridden down the mountain, everyone, when we return to the Water Dragon Hall, we can get close, but I remember the appearance of each of you. 35. Third senior brother, what you said is not right. Soon, Shan Zhonglu's words aroused everyone's dissatisfaction. Obviously, you are at fault first. Junior sister just wants to get justice for her companions, but you hurt people, can't you say this? Yes, third senior brother, this is obvious to everyone, you don't want to deny it, right? You guys. Sean Zonglo was furious, but at this time, everyone was on the side of that junior sister, and he was not good at the anger of the public, so he just snorted coldly and did not speak. But the onlookers did not want to turn him over, and they blamed him one after another. Third senior brother, you better leave, otherwise, I won't guarantee that I won't make a move against you. That's right, third senior brother, the sword has no eyes, and ask third senior brother to respect himself. Please third senior brother to respect yourself. This remark is tantamount to adding fuel to the fire, causing the mountain-heavy building to almost explode. However, he also knew that if he stayed here, he would definitely be expelled by them together, so he had to snort coldly and said to everyone, "You wait, today's events, I have written down the mountain-heavy building." After leaving with the four junior brothers in ashes, the mountain-heavy building bombarded all the way, venting the anger in their hearts, and the four people cautiously followed behind them, silent, for fear that if one was not careful, he would anger the third senior brother. This Taoist, are you all right? After Wei Yuanxin waited for the group of Shan Zonglo to leave, he came to the junior sister and said with concern, Feng Kai's palm is very powerful, and the junior sister may have left a dark disease. Quote. 0 asking for flowers. Thank you senior brother for your concern, the little woman is okay. Held by her sisters, the junior sister smiled sweetly at Wei Yuanxin and said, Little woman Lu Fufang, I don't know if this senior brother is. Hee, my name is Qian. 35. Casually reciting his previous name, Wei Yuanxin nodded and said, Since senior sister Lu is fine, then she will leave in Sha. Wei Yuan said in his heart, and was about to return to the team, but was stopped by Lu Fufang. Senior brother Qian, the little woman and her sister have been seriously injured, and they may encounter danger when they go out later. If senior brother does not dislike it, please take us in. Please take it in with senior brother. Behind Lu Fufang, the four women spoke out one after another, making Wei Yuanxin lose his mind for a while. He turned his head to glance at Zhang Chushuan, but seeing that the other party looked like he didn't care about himself, he could only smile bitterly and said, In that case, I will ask senior sister Lu and all junior sisters to follow us later. Thank you, senior brother Qian. On the side, dozens of hungry wolves threw envious and jealous looks at Wei Yuanxin, and it was they who wished they were standing in front of Lu Fufang. Feeling these gazes, Wei Yuanxin touched his nose and took the initiative to retreat to Zhang Chushuan's side. Senior, if I do this, you won't blame me, right? It doesn't hurt that it's a matter for you to decide. Zhang Chushuan shook his head, and although his gaze swept over the surroundings, Shen Yan kept his attention to the treasure tree in their center. Point 0. A white lotus flower has slowly opened. I believe that it will not take long to completely bloom, and then it will be the time of harvest and the most fierce moment of snatching. And Zhang Mu also noticed that there was a female figure among them, crystal clear. This person is not real, but the spirit of the lotus. To see this scene, even the peak cultivation of the true monarch is not enough, let alone the peak cultivation of the Jindan real person. But Zhang Mu's divine soul had long reached the level of the Holy Lord, but there was no breakthrough in cultivation. Therefore, Zhang Chushuan is not worried, and has already tacitly accepted that this lotus flower is in the bag. As more and more people arrived here, the Lu Fufang sisters, who had originally distanced themselves from Wei Yuanxin and the others, were not allowed to stand by their side at this time, announcing that they were together. This invisibly added a lot of difficulty to Wei Yuanxin to compete for the lotus flower. Seeing this, Wei Yuanxin could only smile bitterly helplessly, and finally understood why Zhang Chushuan was silent at that time. Boom! A muffled thunder sounded from the top of everyone's heads. It seemed that because of this thunder, the speed of the lotus blooming increased a lot, and everyone could even smell the slightest fragrance. This is definitely a treasure medicine. Even an immortal medicine, when mature, it can actually attract heavenly thunder. When this is sent, I suddenly decided that I would put away this lotus flower by myself and not give it to the great elder. Hey, there is no owner yet. You have decided the belonging of the lotus, isn't it too early? At this time, because of the muffled thunder, the originally quiet atmosphere was instantly broken. Lu Fufang also seemed to realize that he and the others were no longer able to compete, so he said to Wei Yuanxin, Senior brother Qian, in a while, I and the sisters will try to drag some people as much as possible, hoping that senior brother can successfully win the treasure medicine. Hee, junior sister Lu is serious, this treasure medicine is available to everyone, but by chance. After the two sides exchanged for a moment, they stopped talking, their eyes staring straight at the lotus flower in front of them, ready to move at any time. Boom! A louder muffled thunder was heard, and some disciples standing on the swamp also screamed at this time, and everyone suddenly left the ground in a panic like a frightened bird, investigating the situation below. I don't know when, with the treasure medicine as the center, the dense ancient crocodile appeared in the swamp. Because of the call of the muffled thunder, they all surfaced at this time and launched an attack on the monks standing nearby. Ancient black crocodile, everyone be careful. A kind cultivator reminded that he himself also rose into the air quickly, and his heart was palpitating. Crackle. After a burst of incense, the muffled thunder that had been waiting for a long time finally turned into thunder and lightning, illuminating the entire swampland. The monk moved, the ancient black crocodile moved, but only Zhang Chushuan, standing in place, with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth, did not pay attention. Chong, the treasure medicine is right in front of you, and the opportunity must not be missed and will not come again. It's mine, you don't want to take it. Humph. For the sake of you and me, I don't care about you, and if there is any obstruction, there will be no mercy. Various voices came from the mouths of the disciples of the Water Dragon Hall and the cultivators from outside, and everyone flocked towards the lotus flower in the very center. 88%. Chapter 349 Ancient Black Crocodile. Senior, isn't this right? At this time, the cultivator and the ancient black crocodile were mixed together, and there were continuous angry beast roars and screams, which instantly stained the white and refining surroundings suddenly. The blood water poured down the pouring rain and flowed into the swamp, making the ancient black crocodile even more excited, and rushed desperately. Ha ha ha, I caught it. A cultivator rushed to the front of refining first, stretched out his hand to hold it and was about to tear it away, but unfortunately he was bitten off by an ancient black crocodile beside him, and the light in his eyes immediately dissipated. It's mine, don't rob anyone. Not long after, another cultivator succeeded, and he had already taken off the refining, but before it was hot, he turned into a cloud of blood mist, and the lotus flower also took off his hand and flew away with the wind. In the face of the temptation of the treasure medicine, none of them would remember the rules that the great elder said before entering the secret realm. Zhang Chu, 4440, Zan, who was coldly watching everything from the onlookers, shook his head slightly, and whispered to himself, don't you know, even if the competition is fierce, is it just futile in the end? 5. Alas, it looks like we'll have to keep them busy for a while later. No one could hear Zhang Chushuan's words, and even if they did, they wouldn't care at this time, because they were all tempted by the treasure medicine and would not give up if they did not get it. Not good, the treasure medicine has fallen into the black crocodile masses. I don't know who exclaimed, and everyone saw that the white refinement, like a little light in the darkness, fell into the black crocodile and then disappeared. They only saw a dark shadow flash by at this time, and they didn't care too much. Damn, you must not let this group of beasts get it, kill them. Kill. The crazy monk began to change his target and move towards the ancient black crocodile in the swamp, and there was another earth-shattering battle. Wei Yuanxin, Lu Fufeng and the others, after seeing the treasure medicine fall into the black crocodile group, hesitated, and returned to Zhang Chushuan's side, full of regret. Senior, it's really a pity, being won by this group of black crocodiles, this time by came, and so many of the same people died, alas. When Lu Fufeng heard this, he glanced at the young Zhang Chushuan in surprise, but he didn't say much. It's just curious that he is so young that he actually makes senior brother Qian respect him as a senior. Senior, if you make a move, the battle must be over. However, Lu Fufeng still couldn't help but be curious in his heart, and said to Zhang Chushuan, with your strength, everyone present is not your opponent, but you. It's just a 9-turn lotus flower. Zhang Chushuan said the origin of the treasure-breaking medicine, and said indifferently, this kind of lotus flower is not enough to arouse the interest of the old man. Senior, you are really. For a while, Lu Fufeng didn't know what to say. She felt that she was high enough to look at Zhang Chushuan's strength, but seeing his light and cloudy appearance at this time, she was a little unpredictable. Damn, the treasure medicine was completely devoured by this group of beasts. Alas, Bai came to visit, this time it is a big loss. After an hour, the battle ended, and the black crocodile could not withstand the joint attack of the cultivators, so he could only retreat unwillingly. The cultivators also returned to normal at this time, and when they looked at the wreckage all over the ground, their faces immediately turned red. Gone. There are other opportunities in the secret realm, you can't miss it again. We have wasted a lot of time for this treasure medicine, it's time to go. Soon, the cultivators who had returned to God quickly withdrew, and soon only Wei Yuanxin, Lu Fufeng and others were left. Seeing that they had no intention of leaving, Lu Fufeng said tentatively, Senior brother Qian, you guys are. Hee, senior sister Lu, we plan to continue to cross the swamp. Wei Yuanxin didn't know what was going on, and without waiting for Zhang Chushuan's order, he said directly, if junior sister Lu and the others don't want to, they can leave on their own first. I think that mountain heavy tower has already gone far at this time. You junior sisters just need to be careful, you won't collide with him. Ah, that senior brother Qian, senior, the little woman has taken her leave. Lu Fufeng is also an interesting person, and after saluting them, he left with his sisters. In the field, only Zhang Chushuan was left, and only then did Wei Yuanxin speak. Senior, are we really not leaving? 35. With so many resources, you don't plan to charge for it. 35. Zhang Chushuan nu-mouthed, motioning for them to look towards the ground. The bloody ground had become more than 10 feet in size at this time, and there were many corpses of cultivators on it, but more were the ancient black crocodile. You can bury the bodies of Taoists on the spot, and as for the ancient black crocodile, help me peel off the skin on their bodies, I can be useful. Yes, senior. 35. After a slight stunned, Wei Yuanxin and the 3 junior disciples started to clean up Zero. This ancient black crocodile has thick skin and thick flesh. A small part of it has been completely shattered by the body, while the rest is well preserved. If it were not for the fact that they were already lifeless, the 4 people who were busy even suspected that these guys would bite off their thighs in the next second. It took 4 or 5 hours for the 4 of them to peel off the skin of the ancient black crocodile on the ground, put it into a storage bag, and hand it to Zhang Chushuan. Senior, it has been done according to your orders. Remember not to expose the dead Taoist to the wilderness. 35. Wei Yuanxin, who originally wanted to rest for a while, immediately got up after hearing this, mixed the stumps of the same sector foreign cultivators, and dug a large pit to bury them. In front of them, their storage bags have been piled up in a small pile, which looks very attractive. Zhang Chushuan spoke at the right time, which made the 4 people overjoyed. These storage bags, you can divide them yourself. Senior, this, isn't that right? Hee, you're welcome, I don't need it anyway. 35. Shaking his head slightly, Zhang Chushuan followed the same path back. Remember to divide quickly, I'll wait for you in front. Yi Feng smiled and said to Wei Yuanxin, I didn't expect the seniors to be quite generous. Yes. 99. A smile also appeared on Guan Judian's face, and he said, Brother Master, although the seniors said that we would assign it, I think that after we get out of the secret realm, we still have to return the 4.4 harvest to the seniors. Quote. However, we can leave some of them, and I don't think the seniors are such stingy people. When Wei Yuanxin saw the 2 of you, he finalized the matter, and couldn't help but smile and scolded. You, thanks to the generosity of the seniors, otherwise the 2 of you may suffer. Shaking his head, Wei Yuanxin simply cleaned up the storage bag, wiped out the aura of his original owner, put it away, and chased towards Zhang Chushuan. Zhang Chushuan was holding the 9-turn lotus flower in his hand at this time. He thought about it, or tested it to see if the 100-fold reward system could increase it. If you can double the incredible things, you will make a lot of money this time. System, increase the 9 revolutions lotus. 88%. Chapter 350. Colorless Lotus, Heavenly Desert Sweet Spring, subscription required. 100x reward ability on. Found a 9-turn lotus flower that can consume elixir, and the consumption can be doubled as follows. 1. Advanced elixir. 9 turns lotus, seed x 100. 2. Advanced treasure medicine. Colorless lotus, seeds x 10. 3. Elixir. Azure lotus, seed x 1. Exclamation mark. Zhang Chushuan's face beamed, and sure enough, this system could increase the 9 revolutions lotus. However, such a mysterious 9-turn lotus was actually only at the elixir level, which surprised Zhang Chushuan slightly. After pondering slightly, Zhang Chushuan chose the second reward, colorless face. Originally, he thought that after this reward was doubled, it would be a mature refining, but the system seemed to play a joke on him, all seeds. Although the immortal medicine was the highest level, he didn't want to wait so long. The number of elixir 9-turn lotus flowers was the largest, but after his investigation, he found that these 9-turn lotus flowers were only effective for cultivators at the peak of the divine mansion realm and below, and although they had an effect later, they were minimal. Only by exchanging the seeds of 10 colorless lotus flowers can the highest yield be achieved. He believes that under his own cultivation, this colorless lotus will definitely bloom a large piece in the future, and it will naturally be not worried at that time, and the waiting time will not be long. Senior, you wait for us. When Zhang Chushuan had just finished redeeming the reward, the four Wei Yuanxin behind him followed, panting. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan smiled apologetically and said, I'm sorry, I forgot that you guys are still in the rear just now. By this time, the five of them had left the swamp area and returned to the edge of the dense forest bordering the swamp. There were no other cultivators in the vicinity, so seeing this, Wei Yuanxin opened his mouth and asked, Senior, where are we going next? Do you want to seek revenge on the Mountain Heavy Tower? Wei Yuanxin was stunned for a moment, but soon revealed hatred. Think, dream about it. He also suspected the poison in his Taoist body before, probably from the Mountain Heavy downstairs, in order to break himself. After all, he was the weakest among all the true disciples, and there was only one mysterious second senior brother ahead. Okay, then take 04 down, let's go find the Mountain Heavy building. Do you think, where is he most likely to go? Zhang Chushuan knew that Wei Yuanxin and the others were more familiar with this secret realm than themselves, and having them lead the way could save a lot of time. After sinking his heart and thinking carefully for a moment, Wei Yuanxin's eyes lit up. Desert, the most likely place for the Mountain Heavy Tower to go is the desert, and he needs the Heavenly Desert Gangquan to break through the cultivation. Tianmo Gangquan is a unique kind of heaven and earth treasure in this secret realm, and in the past, there were senior brothers who relied on Tianmo Gangquan to cultivate for thousands of miles a day. Shan Zonglo has been staying in the Jaden Second Transformation realm for many years, and this time when he comes here, he will definitely find a way to find a heaven and earth treasure that can improve his cultivation. Among them, the most helpful is the Tianmo Gangquan. Lead the way. The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, and Zhang Chushuan signaled the other party to continue walking. Along the way, the five people didn't say anything, except for Zhang Chushuan. The other four were basically seizing time to replenish their spiritual power so that they could recover to their peak state. After most of the day's trek, the five of them almost traversed the entire dense forest area before reaching the edge of the desert. In an instant, a huge heat wave rushed towards him. Zhang Chushuan stared slightly, looked at the desert in front of him, and did not say much. Senior, there are many dangers in this desert, and the heavenly fire ants in it are even stronger, so it's better for us to be careful. What are fire ants this day? It is an ant that specializes in devouring the gravel of the desert, although they remind them to be thin, but their strength is amazing, and the double pincers in the mouth can directly bite off people's arms, which are highly poisonous. So, in general, no one wants to look for opportunities in this desert. 99. It's a fun place. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan saw that they were almost resting, so he took the lead and rushed into the desert. Follow me, don't fall behind. Quote, quote. The four of them exclaimed, but they still honestly and practically did their best, and followed behind Zhang Chushuan. The temperature in the desert was very high, and less than an hour after traveling, Wei Yuanxin and the others were sweating, and their clothes were soaked with sweat. In order to preserve their strength, they did not protect themselves with aura. Moreover, this desert was very different from the rest of the place, where the aura was chaotic and manic, and every time they absorbed a little bit into the body, they had to spend exponentially time refining and expelling the impurities in it. But seeing that Zhang Chushuan's body in front of him was extremely refreshing, and he maintained the speed he had just started, Wei Yuanxin gritted his teeth and signaled the three people around him to work together to condense an aura shield and envelop them in it. At this moment, a coolness suddenly made them cry out comfortably, and they did not dare to delay, and the four hurriedly accelerated to keep up with Zhang Chushuan. Not long ago, Zhang Chushuan suddenly saw a large fiery red figure appear on the ground in front of him, which was incompatible with this desert full of yellow sand. Looking at it, it turned out that this fiery red color was composed of ants the size of palms. They seemed to be looking for food, and there were already 3 monks in the ranks, carrying them and rushing forward. This is the sky fire ant. Whispering, Zhang Chushuan did not stop and continued to hurry forward. After more than half a day, Zhang Chushuan finally found a staggering figure in front of him, and his speed slowed down. After a full hour, Wei Yuanxin and the four were able to catch up, and at this time, they were also sweating and panting. Who is that person? Because the person on the ground was serving a disciple of the Water Dragon Hall, Zhang Chushuan spoke towards Wei Yuanxin. Looking in the direction of his finger, Wei Yuanxin's eyes suddenly showed a strong hatred. He is the Mountain Heavy building, although he is very embarrassed now, even if he turns into ash, I will recognize it. Zhang Chushuan was slightly stunned. He had seen mountains and heavy buildings before, but at that time, he was vigorous, and there was no comparison with his current miserable appearance, one in the sky and the other in the ground. Go, keep up. After a moment's hesitation, Zhang Chushuan beckoned Wei Yuanxin and the four to approach quietly. But the mountain-heavy tower seemed to be very keen, and when they were less than 500 meters away, they suddenly turned around and looked towards them. Seeing this, Shan Zhonglu's face suddenly changed, and the speed under his feet was faster, as if he didn't want to face Zhang Chushuan and the others. In front of you is a huge sand dune, hundreds of feet high. The footsteps of the mountain-heavy building jumped, the height of more than a dozen Zhang flashed, and he continued to climb the sand dunes. After reaching the top, the mountain suddenly turned around and smiled at Zhang Chushuan and the others. Everyone, there will be a period later. 99. Without saying a word, he jumped from the top of the dune. When Zhang Chushuan and the five arrived here, they saw a large oasis in front of them, full of life, including a large lake, which was very attractive. Let's go too. Chapter 350. The treasure hunting rat reappears. As soon as the front foot of the mountain building stepped into the oasis, Zhang Chushuan entered it with the back foot. But when they entered, they did not find the figure of the mountain-heavy building. In an instant, the cool breath rushed to his face, and the four of Wei Yuanxin took a few heavy breaths before saying, "Senior, this place has been mentioned by senior brothers before, but there are no heaven and earth treasures in it, only Tianmo Gangquan is the only treasure. Where is Mogangquan this day? I don't know." Wei Yuanxin also shook his head with a confused face. The heavenly desert Gangquan may be hidden anywhere, a drop of dew, a pond, and even in the body of various plants, there is no trace to follow. Hee. Then let's not worry, let's go shopping first. It's like coming to the tropics. The vegetation in this place grows very well. Even a small grass on the side of an ordinary road is basically half a person tall, not to mention some trees, it is towering. Gollum. From time to time, the cries of unknown creatures are heard in their ears, but when they look closely, the sound will disappear immediately. Zhang Chushuan's mind swept over, and he didn't find the other party, and his curiosity suddenly flourished. The five of them were like headless flies in this oasis, wandering around, but fortunately there was no danger in it, and they were leisurely. "Senior brother, I'm thirsty." After driving in the desert for so long, at this time, Ji Yu Qingyan and the others' lips were white, and the skin on them was even more chapped in their lips. When they saw a pool of spring water appearing in front of them, Ji Yu Qingyan and the others couldn't help but say, "There is just a spring water here, let's go and drink it." "Be careful, don't worry. Although everything seems to be normal here, according to what senior brother said before, it is dangerous to stay here, and it is better not to move anything." Wei Yuan took a handful of spring water, put it to his mouth to carefully feel and taste, and finally nodded slightly, smiling at several people. "This spring water is fine, everyone can come over." Ji Yu Qingyan and the others were immediately overjoyed and rushed over. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan was still standing not far away, observing the vegetation in this area, Wei Yuanxin said, "Senior, don't you add a little? The spring water is very sweet and tastes good." Quote. "No, you guys rest first." Shaking his head slightly, Chong appeared and refocused his attention on the vegetation in front of him. As if he had found something, he summoned the Qianlong knife and cut off the branch with a wave of his hand. Blah blah. Suddenly, like flowing water, the branches were full of sap and went down the river. Strange, obviously feel that there is something in it, why is it not? 35 feet. Shaking his head slightly, Zhang Chushuan turned to leave. The liquid in the trunk, after flowing to the ground, was suddenly absorbed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Senior, we're okay." After a burst of incense, Wei Yuanxin was a little overwhelmed. Zhang Chushuan waited for them, and although he was not completely rested, he stood up and said, "It's time to go." "Good." Nodding, Zhang Chushuan left with the four of them. In the depths of the oasis, a slightly embarrassed figure was moving forward quickly, with a faintly excited look in his eyes. This person is the mountain-heavy building. Like Wei Yuanxin, he did not do anything about other things such as plants and trees around him, and seemed to have a clear goal. "It's almost there, you can get the Tianmo Gangquan right away." Muttering in his mouth, the mountain building quickened its pace, and its figure continued to move. Finally, a small wooden pavilion appeared as far as the eye could see, and the mountain-heavy building exclaimed even more and rushed over. "Ha ha ha, Tianmo Gangquan, finally found you. There is a well below the small wooden pavilion. there is a lot of clear water in the well, and the mountain-heavy building carefully took a hand, swallowed it into the abdomen, and suddenly looked up to the sky and roared, "Ha ha ha, that's right, when this secret realm is over, Wei Yuanxin, you will die a terrible death. Hee hee, thank you for your gift, you can go now." Suddenly, a slightly familiar voice came from behind him, and Shan Zonglo hurriedly turned around, but saw Zhang Chushuan and Wei Yuanxin looking at him with a smile. "It's you, Qian Zhenjin." Shan Zhonglu's face suddenly changed drastically. He looked at Wei Yuanxin, and said in a deep voice, 443, how did you find here? After learning that Zhang Chushuan also followed, Shan Zonglo deliberately made a big circle in the oasis before he came here. But unexpectedly, I was still targeted by them. That's for you. 35. Smiling, Wei Yuanxin said, you really came to the heavenly desert Gangquan. Who are you exactly? Shan Zonglo was startled in his heart, and his footsteps quietly moved back. The other party seemed to be very familiar with his appearance, but he did not have such a person as Qian Zhenjin in his memory, so he couldn't help but become suspicious. Don't be nervous, we have nothing else, we just want to get the Tianmo Gangquan here, the mountain-heavy building, you don't want to swallow it alone, right? Good, good, you guys are good. Almost gritting his teeth, the mountain turned around and left. Compared to Tianmo Gangquan, he cherished his life more. After he left, Wei Yuanxin ordered the 3 junior disciples beside him, then took out the jade bottle from the storage bag and began to collect the Tianmo Gangquan. When the last drop of Tianmo Gangquan was collected, the small wooden pavilion in front of him suddenly collapsed, and only some messy grass and trees remained here. The 4 hurriedly checked the sweet springs in the bottle, and when they found that they still existed, they immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Turning to hand 10 bottles of Tianmo Gangquan to Zhang Chushuan, Wei Yuanxin said, Senior, although there are not many, please accept it. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan unceremoniously put the Tianmo Gangquan into the system space. Let's go, this mountain-heavy building is really a treasure-hunting rat, and you should not worry about harvesting with him. Hearing Zhang Chushuan's words, the 4 Wei Yuanxin were first stunned, and then burst into laughter. They really found that every time this mountain-heavy building goes, there must be heavenly treasures. So the 5 people no longer delayed time and followed the direction in which the mountain-heavy building left. When they found the mountain building again, the other party had just finished the battle, and a sword pierced into the body of a huge scorpion, until it was dead, and then leaned over to collect the materials available on it. Rustling. Suddenly, there was movement behind the heavy building. He looked back, saw that it was Zhang Chushuan and the others again, and suddenly became angry. You guys are endless, what are you doing with me all the time? If he hadn't been able to defeat Zhang Chushuan, he would have already committed the act of killing people and capturing treasures at this time. But now, it can only be him who is killed. Shan Zonglo, I'm sorry, this scorpion is our fancy. Kr. The mountain was speechless for a while, and after pondering for a long time, he laughed angrily. Ha ha ha, thank you senior, this way of teasing him is really fun. Wei Yuanxin laughed and thanked Zhang Chushuan, then said, but shall we always follow him? 88%. Chapter 351 Steal the color, hand over your things. The next time we meet, kill or let go, you decide. Zhang Chushuan smiled slightly, and after the 4 of them cleaned up the remains of the scorpion, they left again along the traces left by the heavy building. Yamashiroku, hand over your storage bag, we won't follow you anymore. 35. When he met the mountain-heavy building again, Wei Yuanxin said with a smile, I swear in the name of Qian, this time is absolutely true. Looking at each other with gloomy eyes, Shan Zonglo wanted to argue, but in the end obediently handed the storage bag to the other party. But he has more than one storage bag on him, and he stores important things close to his body, and the loss is not big. Seeing that they were still looking at themselves, Shan Zonglo suddenly said angrily, didn't you say that you let me go? 99. Hee hee, I didn't say I wouldn't let you go. Seeing this, Shan Zonglo snorted angrily, turned his head and left. After more than half an hour, seeing that the 5 people in the rear did not follow, he kicked the big tree next to him, HMPH. Don't let me meet any of you again. In the next time, the 5 Zhang Chushuan began to explore in the oasis, but except for this day of the desert spring, there were also monsters that occasionally popped up, and there was basically no other opportunity. Wei Yuanxin frowned slightly, and after hesitating for a long time, he still said to Zhang Chushuan, Senior, there is no need to explore this place anymore, let's leave. 35. Let's go to the exit. Senior, we're not going anywhere else. Wei Yuanxin was suddenly shocked. In this secret realm, there are some peers who often bully him on weekdays who have not been dealt with, and he doesn't want to leave so early. Whoever said that when we got to the exit, we were ready to go out? The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, but Zhang Chushuan just threw down a sentence and left first. When you get there, the last good show has just begun, you guys can just take a look at it then. 35. So, the confused four had to follow Zhang Chushuan. It took them more than 2 days to return to the entrance of the secret realm. There is an avenue at the entrance of the secret realm, surrounded by lush woods. Zhang Chushuan is in front of one of the big trees, raised a fire, took out the monster beast hunted before, and prepared to barbecue. Hey, what are you all stunned about? Hurry up and help. Seeing that they were all meditating on the side, Zhang Chushuan said, it's okay anyway, it's better to eat something and relax. Senior, I'll wait. Wei Yuanxin and the others wanted to refuse, but after seeing Zhang Chushuan's eyes, they still obediently came over and took the barbecue from Zhang Chushuan's hands. Control the heat, flip the flip. According to Zhang Chushuan's requirements to find some herbs to season, everything is in order. After a while, the cooking smoke with the scent of grilled meat slowly rose. It has been almost 5 or 6 days since the opening of the secret realm, and the secret realm will end on the 7th day, so regardless of whether there is a satisfactory harvest or not, all the cultivators will return the same way, otherwise, they will be locked up inside, and the next time it is opened, maybe it will be 100 years and 1,000 years later. When the first monk returned to the exit of the secret realm and was about to go back, he suddenly found Zhang Chushuan and 5 people, who were barbecued here. You guys are so interested. Don't go looking for heaven and earth treasures and complete the tasks assigned by the elders, but hide here and spend a leisurely life. The person who came with a beard and a horizontal face was glaring at the 5 people of Zhang Chushuan at this time. The 4 of Wei Yuanxin subconsciously looked at Zhang Chushuan, and seeing that his old god was there, and did not mean to speak, Wei Yuanxin took the initiative to say, Dao you are too wide, right? 35. Hee, I just can't see what you do. In this secret realm, how can I let you pollute at will? You're strange, we didn't provoke you, why are you nosy? HMPH. With a cold snort, this big man was about to make a move, but suddenly, a true monarch's breath poured out, causing him to retreat one after another. 3. The big man with a frightened look in his eyes glanced at Zhang Chushuan, who had never spoken, and hurriedly hugged his fist and said, Senior, I don't know if the senior is here, how offended I was just now, please forgive me. 5. Robbery. Hand over everything on you. The big man just wanted to nod, but suddenly reacted and began to retreat. Senior, don't you have to do this? Humph. With a cold snort, Zhang Chushuan suddenly looked at him. I saw a pair of eyes without any emotion, exuding cold killing intent, looking directly at the depths of his heart. If you don't want to die, do it obediently. The bearded man still wanted to think for a moment, but he saw Wei Yuanxin and the 4 people surrounding him. Seeing this, he could only smile helplessly, and quickly ran out the storage bag, crying, this is all I have gained from this trip, can senior leave me some? Zhang Chushuan's questioning made the beard completely dispel the idea of luck, and hurriedly handed it over. Senior, if you take it, I won't bother you. 99. After saying that, the beard ran away with a smoke. Picking up the storage bag, Wei Yuanxin and the others wanted to give it to Zhang Chushuan, but they were rejected by the other party. Put it there first, wait until everyone comes. Yes, senior. The expressions of the 4 people gradually became excited. Zhang Chushuan obviously wanted to rob everyone here, and the harvest would be extremely huge at that time. But, senior, what should we do if all of them go out to file a complaint? Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan pointed to Wei Yuanxin's face and said with a smile, ask your junior brother if they can recognize you now. Wei Yuanxin subconsciously turned his head, but saw 4 unfamiliar faces, and was suddenly shocked. Brother Master, it's me. Yes, Brother Master, you can't see it, can you? It wasn't until the voices of Ji Yu Qingyan and the others came out that he suddenly realized, it's still the thoughtfulness of the seniors, as early as when I entered the secret realm, let me wait to cover up my true face, is it good? 35. After the bearded man left, some monks returned one after another, but they still suffered the same treatment, and when Zhang Chushuan revealed that the true monarch cultivated for him, they hurriedly threw down the storage bag and ran. On the side, in the woods not far away, the bearded man did not leave, but kept observing the behavior of the 5 Zhang Chushuan. After seeing a few unlucky eggs like him, he couldn't help but laugh. However, when he saw the storage bag on the ground, the bearded man thought for a long time, but still walked out and said to the 5 people, "Senior, can I join you?" Seeing that Zhang Chushuan did not speak, the bearded man continued, "Feng Kai's departing few people should have taken the news out, and they were robbed later. There will definitely be fewer and fewer people who worship the seniors, and I am willing to gather them all and bring them to the seniors. At that time, just ask the seniors to give me my original income." I wonder if the seniors agreed. 89%. Chapter 352 Someone called robbing the true monarch. Subscription required. With a beard, the 4 of Wei Yuanxin looked at Zhang Chushuan in unison. He was right. After the trouble just now, there must be many cultivators who have learned about the situation here, and if they want to rob at that time, it will be more difficult. Before they knew it, they actually liked this feeling. Zhang Chushuan raised his eyebrows slightly, glanced at the beard a few times, and finally nodded and agreed. "Yes, but if you do a good job, I can give you more rewards." "Thank you, senior. Thank you, senior." With Zhang Chushuan's promise, the bearded man was overjoyed in his heart, and after accusing everyone, he jumped and went to the secret realm. "Senior, will this guy really do what he says?" "Oh, it will." 35. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan's eyes were full of smiles. He had actually known that this bearded man had been not far from them, and several times he wanted to appear to warn those unlucky people like him, but finally endured. Not only that, when he saw the accumulated storage bags at the feet of Wei Yuanxin, his beard brightened his eyes, and finally hesitated before he came to Zhang Chushuan and them. "Hopefully, if this bearded man dares to lie to us, when I go out, I must teach him a good lesson." Wei Yuanxin clenched his fists, but 443 didn't say anything more. After the bearded man left Zhang Chushuan's side, he seemed to have good luck and met 3 cultivators who were about to wait at the exit of the secret realm. However, looking at their appearance, it seems that there is no gain, and the other 2 teammates died in the secret realm. What for? When they saw the beard suddenly appear, the 3 people hurriedly retreated, and they had become frightened birds. The bearded man smiled, and with his honest expression, it was easy to win the trust of the other party. "Taoist, don't hide it. In the next team, I am the only one left. I was worried that someone would do something to me at the exit of the secret realm, so I looked for new teammates and prepared to go out safely. I see that the 3 Taoists have also lost a lot. I just have some chance, and put away the storage bags of the other 4 teammates. When the time comes, if the 3 Taoists escort me out safely, I will give you some compensation." The 3 of them looked at each other, showed a fierce light, and surrounded their beards. "Wouldn't it be easier if we killed you and took your treasures now? No one knows that this matter was done by the 3 of our brothers." Quote. Ha. Since the bearded man dared to take the initiative to undertake this task, how could he not be prepared? I saw him take out a token from his arms and said, "I am a disciple of the Water Dragon Hall. You can't touch me, otherwise, when you go out, it will be your death period." 99. Seeing that the bearded man threw the token towards them, the man in the middle caught it smoothly. After confirming that the token was not fake, the man immediately showed a smile and said to the beard, where, this Taoist brother, it was all a misunderstanding before, a misunderstanding." Quote. "Return the token to you, and the 3 of us brothers will also protect you from the oppression of those in the same family." Then thank you 3 Taoists. Taking the token, an imperceptible smile flashed in the bearded man's eyes, and then mingled with them. After a burst of incense, the 3 cultivators hesitated slightly, then said towards their beards, "Brother Dao, don't worry, the 3 brothers and I will follow Brother Dao's orders and attract those people. Well, then there will be law, and I am here waiting for your good news." Good. The 3 of them walked away, and there was an extra storage bag in their hands, among which were some spirit stones. With the benefits, they naturally did not fail to do things, and soon dispersed to find the rest of the cultivators who were ready to return. Soon, like a virus, these 3 people quickly entangled most of the secret realm cultivators and rushed towards the place where the beard was. "Fellow Taoists, listen to me." 35. Facing everyone, the bearded man was not nervous, and said, "At the exit of that secret realm, there is a true monarch guarding it, and he wants to rob me and so on." Upon hearing this, everyone suddenly changed color, especially the 3 brothers who were first found, and even asked, "Brother Dao, didn't you say that as long as I wait to escort you out, I can get a lot of reward? Why is it not what you say?" Taoist friends are not anxious, listen to me to finish the words. The bearded man signaled everyone not to panic, and then continued, although it is Zhenjin, I accidentally heard his words on the side. It seems that he is seriously injured, and when the exit of the secret realm opens, he will go out as soon as possible, so as not to be calculated. No one else knows about this yet, and I overheard it inadvertently. Now everyone is faced with two choices. Wait for that true monarch to go out, we will go to the exit of the secret realm, and the second choice, we will work together to take down that true monarch. But I saw with my own eyes that there are many storage bags at Zhenjin's feet, and there are blood stains on them, and I have seen with my own eyes that he snatched it from the mouth of the ancient black crocodile. These words have made many people agree. After all, there are many witnesses to what happened at that time. It's done. Suddenly, I don't know who in the crowd shouted, "This Zhenjin is an injured tiger, although the tiger's butt can't be touched, but he is seriously injured, presumably under my joint efforts, he is not our opponent." At that time, what do you think of dividing the storage bag and the treasures on his body equally? When everyone heard this, they all moved. Guys, it's better to be careful. But at this time, the bearded man persuaded. He is such a true monarch, and when the time comes, he will hurt a few of our Taoists, then he will not be able to draw it. Then you say, what are we going to do? I just want to sack that true monarch anyway. Yes, do you have a better way? Quiet, quiet. Pressing down on the restless crowd, the bearded man smiled and said, as far as I know, that Zhenjin will settle down for a period of time every day, and when the time comes, anyone can approach, and we will secretly kill him at that time. Walk around, I can't wait. The cultivators couldn't hold back any longer, and they all shouted and headed towards the exit of the secret realm. Following the crowd, the bearded man had a smile on his face. Now, even if that true monarch did not intend to fulfill his promise, he could rely on these people to wipe out the true monarch. Senior, here they are. 35. Wei Yuanxin, who had been observing, was immediately excited when he saw a large number of people coming over not far away. I didn't expect that the speed of this beard is not slow, and it entangled so many people so quickly. 35. Senior, what should we do next? What to do? It's still the same as before. 89%. Chapter 353 Life, isn't it ups and downs? Subscription required. After getting up and moving his body, Zhang Chushuan waited for everyone to arrive with a smile on his face. Soon, the group of cultivators led by the bearded man were fierce, and after seeing the bright and dark aura on Zhang Chushuan's body, they shouted, the opportunity is at hand, everyone rush. 99. Rush rush. Everyone rushed up, and at this time, they already believed that the true monarch in the mouth of the bearded man had been seriously injured. Boom, one by one. Suddenly, an aura exclusive to the true monarch and the strong spread out, and the people who rushed to the front were even more successful and trampled by the people behind. They didn't seem to realize that this true monarch was not injured at all. Humph. Rob the true monarch. You guys are really bold. With a cold snort, I saw Zhang Chushuan waving his hand and gently lifting it, and a stream of transparent knife energy instantly overflowed. However, Zhang Chushuan would not kill them, but after trapping them in place, he said coldly, it's quite bold, but unfortunately it doesn't have that strength. Single quote. Seeing that everyone could not break free, they suddenly changed colors, knowing that it was over. Provoke a true monarch and strong. They think with their toes and fingers, the consequences will not be much better. At this time, they all looked for the bearded figure, but found that he had walked behind Zhang Chushuan and smiled at them. Everyone, I'm sorry, but I have to do it next. You dare to deceive us. Boy, when we go out, we will let you die without a place to die. 35. But the bearded man didn't seem to be afraid, and made a grimace at everyone. Signaling Wei Yuanxin and the others to step forward, Zhang Chushuan said in a deep voice, now, hand over the storage bags on your body. If this monarch finds out who is hiding it, the consequences will be very miserable. Boom. Zhang Chushuan raised his finger and saw a large tree not far away that 4 or 5 people were hugging together shattered. Hiss. Everyone gasped, knowing that this time it was really planted. So when the 4 of Wei Yuanxin walked in front of them, they could only obediently hand over the storage bags on their bodies. In order to save their lives, some people have already taken out their storage bags and looked forward to them when they walked in front of them. It took more than 10 minutes for Wei Yuanxin and the 4 to collect all the storage bags and pile them aside. The storage bags, which were stacked higher than people, made everyone's eyes widen and full of envy. However, these people who handed over the storage bags howled and regretted listening to the bearded ghost. Senior, look at me. The bearded man came to Zhang Chushuan's side with a smile on his face. Seeing this, Zhang Chushuan nodded slightly, and Wei Yuanxin beside him returned his storage bag. Not only that, he also took one in the pile of storage bags and handed it to the other party. When someone recognized it as his storage bag, he stared straight at his beard and vowed to take back his storage bag when he went out. Can't deal with Zhenjin, can't even deal with a villain of the same realm. Thinking like this, he felt a lot better in his heart. Okay, everyone can leave. After signaling Wei Yuanxin and the others to count the storage bags on the spot and put them all away in categories, Zhang Chushuan spoke. Remember, don't come back until the secret realm is over, otherwise, you know the consequences. 5. The kind smile on Zhang Chushuan's face made them feel a chill and fled to leave the place. The bearded man came up to Zhang Chushuan and said with a smile, "Senior, what about me?" You. Glancing at each other, Zhang Chushuan said lightly, "You are the same as them, anyway, most of the people's storage bags have been taken back." 35. Senior, no, absolutely not. Upon hearing this, the bearded man was suddenly shocked, and almost hugged Zhang Chushuan's thigh and wailed continuously, but fortunately he was stopped by Wei Yuanxin. "This is your last chance, never go again." In the face of Zhang Chushuan's warning, the bearded man immediately stopped crying and turned around to be afraid that Zhang Chushuan would not believe his words and would take his life. "Wei Yuanxin, you guys clean up, take the rewards you want to exchange. Tomorrow morning, the exit of the secret realm will begin." When Wei Yuanxin and the others heard this, they nodded one after another, and began to take out a treasure medicine and put it in their storage bag, while the rest was still placed in the original place and ignored. Placing all the classified storage bags in front of Zhang Chushuan, Wei Yuanxin said, "Senior, this is all yours, and we should also return the thing to its original owner." But to their surprise, Qin Hao shook his head and refused these. "This is what you scavenged yourself, didn't I move my hand once? Now that you got it, it's yours, so put it away." 35. 0 asking for flowers. This. Wei Yuanxin and the others looked at each other, all a little embarrassed. But after seeing Zhang Chushuan's eyes, they immediately shivered and nodded hurriedly. "Since it is the meaning of the senior, then we will dare to accept it. However, if the seniors need it, they can always take it back from us." 99. Aha! Boom! Boom! The next morning, the bell calling disciples and foreign cultivators to go out of the secret realm rang, and the elders were already waiting outside, with smiles on their faces. But because of what Zhang Chushuan and them did before, at the exit of the secret realm at this time, there was nothing else except the 5 of them. And they also returned to their original appearance at this time, and after glancing at each other, they all walked towards the exit. "It's coming, everyone greet you." After the great elder of the Water Dragon Hall saw 5 figures suddenly appear in the crack in the air, he hurriedly exclaimed and beckoned the rest of the people to step forward. "Great elder, all elders, disciple Wei Yuanxin, live up to the trust and have returned from the secret realm." "Good, good, it's good to come back." Quote. Seeing that the first team of 5 people came back safely, the great elder was very happy, and he felt in his heart that this was a good sign. "By the way, how many elixirs have you found?" Elder. 35. At this moment, Wei Yuanxin suddenly showed a sad face, and cried to the great elder, "We originally recovered dozens of elixirs in the secret realm, as well as several treasure medicines, but suddenly a true monarch strong man directly attacked and robbed us at the exit of the secret realm. We were defeated, we could only hand over the storage bags on our bodies and hand over everything." When the great elder heard this, his expression instantly froze. This true monarch and strong man entered it, which he did not expect. However, in order to appease the disciples in the sect, the great elder still smiled reluctantly. It's okay, we Water Dragon Hall will definitely catch that guy. It's okay if you're okay." A flash of guilt suddenly flashed in Wei Yuan's heart, but according to the original plan, one of the 4 took out a storage bag and handed it to the great elder. "Great elder, this is what we risked to stay, and there is only 1 treasure medicine in it." Quote. River. 89%. Chapter 354 Sample. "See, I don't play you to death." The great elder was shocked again, but only after the prompts of the other elders did he come to his senses and take the storage bags in the hands of the 4 disciples. After confirming that it was 4 treasure medicines, the great elder's face turned into a chrysanthemum. "Good, good, very good." Nodding towards the 4, the great elder said approvingly, "It is rare that you can save a treasure medicine under such a dangerous situation." 5. After everyone comes out of the secret realm, you can go to the library pavilion and the alchemy room to stay for 10 days each. Thank you, great elder. The four of Wei Yuanxin were overjoyed, and at this time, the eyes of the great elder also fell on Zhang Chushuan. This Taoist friend, I don't know you. I'm sorry, I want to keep the only treasure medicine, but I will give the water dragon hall some compensation. Speaking, Zhang Chushuan threw out a storage bag, and the great elder took it and saw that a bag full of 443 spirit stones was shining. The old face smiled again into a chrysanthemum, and the great elder arched his hand slightly towards Zhang Chushuan. Thank you, Taoist, please rest for a while, and when I find out who the bold person is, I will personally send Taoist to leave. Thank you. Zhang Chushuan smiled slightly and took the initiative to step aside. The great elder had already informed the Taisheng elder of the Water Dragon Hall to leave the pass, asking him to assist in capturing that true monarch and powerhouse. He believed that if Elder Taisheng came out of the horse, he would spit out as much as Zhenjin took. Not only that, but he would also ask that guy to make compensation to the Water Dragon Temple. One after another, until Zhang Chushuan and the five of them left for about half an hour, the rest of the people came out of the spatial crack. However, at the first sight of them, the great elder did not ask about the secret realm, but only comforted them that it would be good if they could come out safely. Until noon, no one appeared in the spatial crack, and the great elder knew that if he did not come out at this time, he would stay in it forever. He glanced at the disciples behind him and found that it was close to 30% less, which was the most serious loss for the Water Dragon Hall in the years, and his mood was inevitably a little heavy. Gentlemen, the old man heard that a true monarch and strong man were mixed in the secret realm and robbed you. As soon as these words came out, most of the cultivators echoed them, and they even began to look around, just to find the true monarch and the bearded man. With the support of the Water Dragon Hall, they don't believe that the true monarch will not be soft. Everyone, be quiet, signaling everyone not to make noise, the great elder said in a deep voice, tell me about that person's appearance, and at the same time check with each other whether he is hiding in it. Don't worry, such a thing happened to be the negligence of our Water Dragon Palace, and we will deal with it ourselves. Now please work together to find the daring one. 35. However, despite everyone's efforts to search, they still had no clue and expressed doubts. Great Elder, is that guy already leaving? Yes, we are not the first to come out, maybe the Great Elder did not find out. Hee, don't worry about this. Stretching out his hand, he pointed at Zhang Chushuan, Wei Yuanxin and the other five. These four disciples, already this Taoist, are the first to come out. The old man also learned about this from their mouths. Like you, all the storage bags and things on their bodies have been looted, and this trip to the secret realm is considered to be in vain. Everyone looked at the five Zhang Chushuan people in unison, and the mountain-heavy tower was even more dazzling. Great Elder, I have reason to suspect that they are the people in the pretense, because they are also exactly five. Shan Zonglo, what do you mean by that? Without waiting for the Great Elder to speak, Wei Yuanxin glared angrily, as if the suspect was really not him. The Great Elder has already said that we are also victims, why are you slandering us? Yes, isn't it because you have always coveted the position of the Master Brother, so you are bloody? Shan Zonglo wanted to refute, but was interrupted by the words of the Great Elder. Okay, everyone don't need to argue, we have confirmed this matter, there will be no mistake. Grand Elder, after they came out, did they search their bodies? Shan Zonglo still didn't want to give up. After all, his intuition told him that the few in front of him were robbing them, but pretending to be a victim at this time was too deceitful. After his reminder, the Great Elder seemed to recall, and said to Zhang Chushuan, the old man almost forgot about it. Taoist, if you don't mind, I want to search. Yes, Great Elder, hurry up and search your body, we are also willing to cooperate. As long as I can find that guy, even if I am naked, I am willing to knack. 35. Everyone was talking and expressing their anger in their hearts. Zhang Chushuan originally didn't want to do much, but seeing that the mountain-heavy tower had been targeting him, or Wei Yuanxin and the four, he had a plan in his heart and said to the Great Elder, it's okay to search the body, but I want this Taoist friend to search it personally, otherwise, what if he says that the Great Elder covers us up when the time comes? When Wei Yuanxin heard this, he was shocked in his heart, and pulled Zhang Chushuan's wrist without everyone seeing, but the other party did not move. This made him anxious for a while, but he couldn't show it, otherwise it would be completely exposed. When Shan Zonglo heard this, a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he said in a deep voice, Great Elder, can you just follow what this Taoist friend said? It's not that I don't believe the Great Elder, but I'm really curious in my heart. Oh, good. Seeing that the two of them had no opinion, the great elder was also happy to solve this matter quickly, so he nodded and agreed. Come on. 35. With open arms, Zhang Chushuan showed a harmless smile towards the mountain-heavy building, but what he thought was, Xiao sample, see I don't play you to death. Shan Zonglo snorted coldly and went straight to Zhang Chushuan, constantly groping on him. Suddenly, he touched a storage bag, and the smile on his face was even bigger. As soon as he ripped off the storage bag, the mountain-heavy tower violently opened it in front of him, and saw that there were many elixirs and spirit stones inside, and even various magic weapons, so he said to the Great Elder, Grand Elder, please see, this guy has all the stolen goods. Quote. 4.4 inches. Although I do not know how he hid the rest of the treasure, he is the one who robbed him on this basis. Quote. Under the circumstances, no one could hide so many things. When the four of Wei Yuanxin saw it clearly, their hearts jumped out, but seeing Zhang Chushuan's face light, he also knew to try his best to suppress his trembling legs. After the Great Elder looked at it, he said in a deep voice, Taoist, what do you have to say? Great Elder, since this guy opened his mouth and suspected that I was the one who robbed, can I suspect that it is that guy? The Great Elder nodded subconsciously. That's right, it stands to reason that this is the case. Quote. Well, I request a body search for this Taoist friend, but in order to clear the suspicion of framing him, I ask the Great Elder to take matters into his own hands. 35. 89%. Chapter 355 I Zhang Chushuan is not that kind of person, subscription required. When the Great Elder of the Water Dragon Hall heard this, after a little thought, he nodded and agreed. Zhang Chushuan's request was not excessive, and it was very reasonable. He would not favor his disciples in the Water Dragon Hall because Zhang Chushuan was just an outsider, otherwise it would be spread out in the future, and their reputation of the Water Dragon Hall would also be damaged. When Shan Zonglo heard this, a sinister smile appeared on his face. Great Elder, come on, anyway, everything on my body has been robbed, and the rest are also worthless things, not worth mentioning. Hearing this, the Great Elder nodded and walked towards the mountain-heavy tower. Frying on him for a while, the Great Elder turned his head to look at Zhang Chushuan. This Taoist, there is nothing on the mountain-heavy tower, just some elixir. Can the Great Elder search carefully? Nodding, the Great Elder said very definitely, search carefully. Quote. Hee, I think it's better for the Great Elder to take a closer look. With a smile on his face, Zhang Chushuan hugged his chest with both hands, looking like he was watching a good show. Seeing this, the Great Elder hesitated slightly, then said to the mountain-heavy tower, I will sweep it with my divine mind later, you don't have to worry. Please rest assured, my mountain-heavy tower has a clear conscience, although the Great Elder come. 04. The Great Elder immediately released his Jaden Peak divine soul, sweeping over and over the body of the mountain-heavy building, but found nothing. However, when he was about to give up and was about to announce the result, his face suddenly changed, and he said towards the mountain-heavy building, Why are there so many storage bags in your close-fitting pocket? Shan Zonglo glanced at the Great Elder in surprise, and he was even more puzzled in his heart. In his close pocket, there is only one storage bag, which is an important thing that he has searched for and has always kept in it. He quickly touched towards his close pocket, and suddenly his face changed greatly. In front of everyone's eyes, there were 7 or 8 more storage bags in the hands of Shan Zonglo. In the crowd, a disciple of the Water Dragon Hall immediately exclaimed, Isn't this my storage bag? How could it be in the hands of the third senior brother? 35. Yes, I also saw it, could it be that third senior brother? The disciples of the Water Dragon Hall were shocked and couldn't believe everything in front of them. Some foreign cultivators even saw their own storage bags, and wanted to step forward, but they were stopped by the rest of the elders of the Water Dragon Hall, waiting for the Great Elder to announce that they would take it. Shan Zonglo, how do you explain this? The Great Elder's face became very ugly. He still believed in the mountain-heavy tower very much in his heart, but reality gave him a loud slap in the face, and in front of everyone, he could not cover up the other party, so he could only ask, where do these storage bags come from? Great Elder, these are not mine. 35. The old man knows that it's not yours. I'm asking, where do these storage bags come from? You have to give the old man an explanation. Quote. Shan Zonglu's expression is wonderful, one moment confused, one moment shocked, one moment angry, as if changing his face. Great Elder, some people like to shout thieves to catch thieves so that they can clear their suspicions. It is obvious that those innocent cultivators are the ones who entangled the rest of the people in the mountain heavy tower to rob together, and ask the Great Elder to give us a satisfactory explanation. Yes, such a thing happened in the Water Dragon Hall. No matter what, the Great Elder should have an explanation. You Water Dragon Hall can't ruin your reputation because of this matter, right? The Great Elder's face turned blue and he shouted towards the mountain heavy tower. Answer me, where did you get these things? Suddenly, seeing the faint smile on Zhang Chushuan's face, as if there was a taste of conspiracy succeeding, Shan Zonglo suddenly realized, stretched out his hand and pointed at Zhang Chushuan, and said loudly, "It's him, yes, it's what he put on me, Great Elder, you must believe me." Bastard. 39. Snap. A loud slap slapped in the face of the mountain heavy tower, and the Great Elder said angrily, "At this time, do you still want to argue?" 35. Humph. Take the mountain heavy building away, press it into the prison, and wait for the fall. The Great Elder was angry. He no longer paid attention to the shouting mountain heavy tower, and said to everyone present, "Everyone, my Water Dragon Hall will definitely investigate this matter, but before that, please don't leave and cooperate well. My Water Dragon Hall will provide you with accommodation, and if there are any requirements, I will try to meet them." 39. After saying that, the Great Elder said to the Third Elder, "Third Elder, you take all the Taoists to settle down, and then come to the council hall to gather." "Yes, Great Elder." The three elders nodded slightly, so that the disciples waiting in the Water Dragon Hall beckoned everyone to leave. The Great Elder also bowed his hand slightly towards Zhang Chushuan at this time. "Taoist, my Water Dragon Hall disciples blame Daoyu for this matter, please stay in the hall, we can make amends." 99. Hee. Thank you Grand Elder for your kindness, then I will be disrespectful, and I just want to take a good look at the scenery of the Water Dragon Hall. Yuanxin, you take Taoist friends down to rest. Yes, Great Elder. The four Wei Yuanxin, whose hearts were pounding, hurriedly pulled Zhang Chushuan away after hearing the Great Elder's order. On the way, Wei Yuanxin kept looking back, and saw that no one was following behind, so he erected the big sow towards Zhang Chushuan. "Senior, this plan is desperate, but how did you put those storage bags on the mountain heavy building, and how did you avoid the search of the Great Elder?" "Oh, secret. In fact, this matter is very simple for Zhang Chushuan, as long as those storage bags are all put into the space where the system belongs, as long as Zhang Chushuan 447 is not willing, no one can find out. In this way, the Great Elder would naturally not find out." As for the body placed on the mountain heavy tower, it was only Zhang Chushuan who instantly transferred to the other party when he searched his body, and performed a simple blind eye, and when the time came, it was the scene that everyone saw. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan did not want to explain to them, Wei Yuanxin changed the topic. "Please don't mind, senior, and stay here for a few more days, so that I and a few juniors and disciples can do our best to fulfill the friendship of landlords and repay the kindness of seniors. It's okay to stay for a few days, but you don't have to repay the favor. I, Zhang Chushuan, am not that kind of person." Waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan said to the four people who were delivered to the door, "You guys go about your own business, don't worry too much about me." 5. "Yes, senior, retire first." The four of Wei Yuanxin gave Zhang Chushuan a heavy salute before turning and leaving. Water Dragon Hall Elders Hall, in the council chamber. The Great Elder sat on the first seat, and on the left and right were the 10 elders in the hall. At this time, they were looking at the Great Elder with a serious face, waiting for each other to speak. "Great Elder, I'm late." At this time, at the gate of the council chamber, a middle-aged man came up, nodded to everyone, and then came to his place and sat down. 90%. Chapter 356 You Think You Earned, I Have Already Started to Blood Earn Subscription. The person who came was Wei Shuihan, the hall master of the Water Dragon Hall. He was originally in Yanwang City, but because of the opening of the secret realm, he returned to the hall and waited to take it. When Wei Yuanxin informed him of this, he came uninvited and met with the elders. Great elders, all elders, the lord of this hall came uninvited, and invited the elders to be strange. Wei Shuihan has been in Yanwang City for so long, and has been promoted from the 4th turn of Jaden to the cultivation of the 5th turn of Jaden. But for him, it is still a drop in the bucket, and there will not be much improvement in a short time, so there will be no loss in returning to the Water Dragon Hall. The Great Elder shook his head slightly. "Presumably, you also know what happened today, right? As the Hall Master of the Water Dragon Hall, he is qualified to deal with this matter. You say, what should we do?" The Great Elder and the others were originally busy with their own affairs on weekdays, but this time the secret realm came together. Just when Wei Shuihan arrived, they also saved some thoughts. Hearing this, Wei Shuihan said in a deep voice, "Since you made such a big mistake and aroused public indignation, it is natural to punish it severely." 35. But this son of Shanzhonglo has a good talent, and his cultivation is progressing rapidly. I think that punishing him for 3 years is also a very serious punishment. The Hall Master's words are somewhat synergistic. I don't know what the elders think. Nodding slightly, the Great Elder looked around at the crowd, waiting for them to speak. Grand Elder, I agree with the way the Hall Master handles it. I also agree with the punishment of the Hall Master. A group of elders echoed one after another. They originally planned to do this, but the time was shorter than Wei Shuihan's decision. Okay, then settle it down. Third Elder, you will send someone to tell Shan Zonglo later. Ask him to think about it well, and when he comes out, the Water Dragon Hall will make up all the missing resources in the 3 years. I disagree. Suddenly, a person came from the door of the council hall. Everyone looked at each other. Wei Shuihan's face was even more happy, and he hurriedly said, "Zhang Daoyu, why are you here?" Hee, it turns out that the hall master is also there, then this matter will be easy to handle. Taoist, this place is an important place in my Water Dragon Hall, and I also ask Taoist friends not to walk around and leave. 35. However, without waiting for Zhang Chushuan's reaction, Wei Shuihan took the initiative to speak. Grand Elder, Zhang Daoyu is a friend of the Lord of this hall, and I am very happy to come to the Water Dragon Hall this time. 39. Anyway, this matter is not important, and it doesn't hurt for Zhang Daoyu to listen to it. Because Zhang Chushuan had changed back to his original appearance at this time, the Great Elder and the others did not recognize him. After hearing Wei Shuihan's words, the Great Elder pondered for a moment, then nodded and said to Zhang Chushuan, "Zhang Daoyu, since you said that you disagree, you must know about it." 35. Let's talk about why Taoist friends don't agree. It's very simple, because this person in the mountain is not right. His face suddenly became serious, and Zhang Chushuan said in a deep voice, "I originally had a disciple who happened to be near the Water Dragon Hall, and this time I heard that the secret realm was open to the outside world and got the news, so I came to try my luck and look for opportunities. But who knows, this mountain tower killed my disciple in the secret realm and took away all the items on his body, so I came this time to get justice for my disciples." Ideographic comma. On the side, Wei Shuihan's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe what he heard. Zhang Chushuan's disciples, in his impression, are also Han Li and Chu Yun. How could one come out again? However, thinking that Zhang Chushuan has not been in Yanwang City for a while recently, perhaps his newly accepted disciples outside may not be able to tell, so he did not say much. Oh, when the Great Elder heard this, his face became even more ugly. He originally thought that the mountain-heavy building was just a robbery, but he didn't expect to kill people, which simply did not take his previous instructions into account. So, after a little contemplation, the Great Elder announced, "Leave this son of Shan Zonglo for 3 years, and no one shall intercede." At the same time, during this period, all his resources were returned to the victims, and if it was not enough, I would make up for it in the Water Dragon Hall. When the elders heard this, they didn't have any objections, so they nodded and agreed. Seeing that Zhang Chushuan did not leave here, the Great Elder frowned slightly and said, "Zhang Daoyu, is there anything else?" The Great Elder planned to wait for Zhang Chushuan to leave, and give these elders a good order to pay attention to the character of the disciples in the future to avoid such a thing from happening again. "I came here this time to discuss an important matter with the Water Dragon Hall." Glancing at Wei Shuihan, Zhang Chushuan continued, "Presumably, everyone should know about the Yanwang dynasty, right?" The elders didn't know why, but they nodded anyway. After Wei Shuihan returned, he had already introduced what he had seen and heard in the Yanwang dynasty and Zhang Chushuan. Otherwise, how could he be so polite to an outsider at this time? Seeing this, Chang Xian smiled. "It saves me a lot of trouble. As you know, Wen Xin Academy has been attached to my Yanwang dynasty, and the Blood Knife Gate was destroyed. In fact, I also did it. The Lin dynasty, it should be under attack at present. I believe it will disappear soon. Therefore, I came here today to ask you if you would like to belong to my Yanwang dynasty." 35. When the elders heard this, their faces changed uncertainly, and they had long known that at this time, they could still feel a burst of surprise when they could say it from Zhang Chushuan's mouth. After a long silence, the Great Elder let out a long sigh and arched his hand towards Zhang Chushuan. The old man knew that Zhang Daoyu should have something big when he came this time, but he didn't expect that it would be for me to return to the Water Dragon Hall. On behalf of the Water Dragon Hall, I agreed to Zhang Daoyu's request. However, before that, I also want to ask, after I am attached, how will this Water Dragon Hall be disposed of? Generally speaking, when one force submits to another force, their original sect is to be abandoned. But as a 6-rank sect, the Water Dragon Hall has been operating here for many years, and it has long been deeply rooted, and if they relocate, they will not be willing to bear it. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan said with a smile, the Water Dragon Hall will remain unchanged, and at the same time, people can be arranged to go to the Yanwang dynasty to take away some of the materials. 99. Upon hearing this, Wei Shuihan's expression on the side suddenly became excited. He knew that the cultivation resources of this Yanwang dynasty were all superior, and by joining it, the originally stagnant cultivation would have a great possibility of breaking through again. Therefore, without waiting for the Great Elder to speak, he opened his mouth and said, Great Elder, promise to come down, our Water Dragon Hall will make no loss. Seeing him so excited, the Great Elder seemed to understand something, so he nodded and said to Zhang Chushuan, well, from today onwards, my Water Dragon Hall will join the Yanwang dynasty. Later, Wei Shuihan and Zhang Chushuan went on a routine business, and the two sides reached an agreement. Looking at the extra Water Dragon Hall in the family panel, Zhang Chushuan smiled even more and said to Wei Shuihan, Wei Daoyu, we will be a family in the future. 90%. Chapter 357 Dynasty Layout, Drive the Wolf and Devour the Tiger. Lin's Dynasty. Since Lin Dongxian was slashed at the main hall of the Yanwang dynasty by Zhang Chushuan, after the failure of Lin Pan Laozu to attack the realm, he took over the Lin dynasty. Under his auspices, various resources for breakthrough cultivation continued to be transported towards the palace of the Lin dynasty, and the injuries in his body were mostly better because of this. Under the accumulation of resources, the ancestor of Lin Pan, who felt that he had little life, tried to attack the realm again, but in the end he failed, was seriously injured, and his vitality was less than 3 months. Seeing this, many princes of the Lin dynasty surged undercurrents, constantly forcing the palace on the ancestor of Lin Pan, and the Lin dynasty also fell into chaos. The initiative of the Water Dragon Hall made Zhang Chushuan exhale deeply. He didn't like to kill, and subduing the Water Dragon Hall with such gentle means solved a lot of trouble for him. So after staying in the Water Dragon Hall for a few days, he set off to return to the Yanwang dynasty. When he returned to Zhang's house, he handed over the income from this trip to Zhang Jingshuan to manage and distribute, and then warmed up with several of his wives for a few days, until he needed to solve the matter of national shopping. In the quiet room of the Zhang family, Zhang Chushuan sat alone in it, pointing at the 447 knots and constantly tapping on the table. After he returned, the secret guard at home had already told him the current situation of the Lin dynasty, and knew that it was time to close the net. Therefore, he was silent for a moment, then he said, Long Yi. Subordinates are here. Originally empty except for Zhang Chushuan, a black-robed figure suddenly appeared, kneeling on one knee respectfully, waiting for orders. Inform Lu Tianan, transfer all his 1,000,000 heavy soldiers to the royal capital of the Lin dynasty, and kill all those who resist. Yes, the head of the household, the subordinates will do it. 35. Like a cloud of blue smoke, the dragon's figure flashed away, and only Zhang Chushuan was left in the quiet room. When Lu Tianan received the news, he was in the mansion. It was not that he was unaware of the turmoil in the Lin dynasty at this time, but he did not immediately send a message to Zhang Chushuan. After all, in his heart, he still had a stronger sense of belonging to the Lin dynasty. And Zhang Chushuan didn't send him instructions for so long, he even felt that the other party had forgotten him. In this way, he can also be his own soil emperor and get away with it. Suddenly, in the empty room, a figure suddenly appeared. This person was the one who rushed over. Seeing him, Lu Tianan's face suddenly changed, and he hurriedly invited the other party to take a seat. But Long Yi refused him and opened his mouth with an expressionless face. Lu Tianan, the family master has an order. Tianan obeys the order. With a brush, Lu Tianan suddenly knelt on one knee, lowered his head slightly, and stopped speaking. Long Yi continued. The family lord has transferred 1,000,000 heavy soldiers to the capital of the Lin dynasty to solve the Lin dynasty as quickly as possible. This, Lu Tianan was stunned. Although he thought that this day would come, he didn't expect it to be so soon. This was somewhat unexpected to him. However, without waiting for him to think too much, he only heard Long Yi's voice come again. For half a month, I will wait for you in the royal capital. I hope that when the time comes, there will be good news and live up to the expectations of the family master." Without saying a word, the dragon's figure quickly disappeared. Lu Tianan still maintained the same appearance as he had just now, his eyes full of struggle. On this day, a shocking news came from Liunan City. 1,000,000 troops went straight to the royal capital. Although Lu Tianan's order was opposed by many people, he used decisive means to bloodily suppress all those who opposed, and the orderly army of the dynasty and the king all marched in. Zhang Chushuan was walking in the huge Zhang family, and when he came to the martial arts training ground, he found a slightly familiar figure. After watching for a long time, Zhang Chushuan finally recalled the young man who had been saved from the 5 elders of the Blood Knife Gate. At that time, Zhang Chushuan saw some clues in him, but did not care too much, and after saving the other party, he just let him go to the Yanwang dynasty. Unexpectedly, he really came and joined the Zhang family. The young man in the martial arts training field also noticed Zhang Chushuan, and after being stunned for a moment, he hurriedly trotted towards Zhang Chushuan. Yi Feng to meet the benefactor. The young man got down on one knee and saluted Zhang Chushuan. Reaching out to help the other person up, Zhang Chushuan smiled. "Are you still used to living at home?" 35. Returning benefactor. "I am very accustomed. Everyone treats me like a relative." A look of gratitude flashed in Yi Feng's eyes, and then he said, "I wonder when the benefactor will come back." "Hee, you don't need to call me a benefactor. In the future, like them, you can call me the lord of the family." 35. Waving his hand, Zhang Chushuan continued, "I just came back, and there are some things that need to be dealt with." 35. Patting him on the shoulder, Zhang Chushuan found that after this period of recuperation, he showed his originally handsome face, and with a wooden box behind him, he was even more heroic. "Okay, I won't bother you to continue cultivating." 35. After chatting casually with Yi Feng, Zhang Chushuan lifted his feet and left. "If you need anything, even if you have orders from the family, or go to my children, you don't need to see outside." "Yes, thank you, master." Watching Zhang Chushuan leave, until his figure completely disappeared, Yi Feng returned to the martial arts training field, practicing one move at a time. Nowadays, in the entire southern part of the Lingzhuo domain, most of the forces have been swallowed up or erased by the Yanwang dynasty. Basically, as long as the affairs of the Lin dynasty are over, and some hidden forces and some small forces are removed, the southern part of the Lingzhuo domain will be completely under the control of the Yanwang dynasty. Lu Tianan led the army and kept advancing towards the royal capital of the Lin dynasty, encountering some army obstacles on the way, but they were solved by him. Either it is to erase it by thunderous means, or it is the other side to defect. In this way, the number of millions of troops did not decrease but increased, and when they came to the capital of the Lin dynasty, the number had reached about 1.2 million. The eldest prince looked at the army that had become a black oppression, and his face was gloomy. "General Lu, are you preparing to completely betray the Lin dynasty?" "My Lin dynasty thinks that it treats you well. Is it revenge if you do this?" "Hee, Grand Prince, since I have reached this step, I have no way back. Let's tell you the truth." Smiling helplessly, Lu Tian said, "I am loyal to the Lin dynasty, but I have to obey the Zhang Chushuan of the Yanwang dynasty, otherwise, my Lu family will be in danger of extinction." 5. Man does not destroy the earth for his own sake. I think the Grand Prince still knows this truth. Yanwang dynasty. Hee, what a Yanwang dynasty. The eldest prince never thought that Lu Tianan actually sent troops under the instructions of the Yanwang dynasty, and his heart was sad and indignant. Old ancestor Lin Pan was already seriously injured. Even if he was not injured, he would be swallowed by this million army, and he did not flee, even if he was already worthy of the Lin dynasty. Ha, General Lu, you do it. 90%. Chapter 358. The dynasty is ready to break through, and the cultivation is ready to break through. Subscription required. The great prince knew very well that his Lin dynasty was in this calamity, and he did not intend to resist. "Kill me, and then go to invite merit and receive a reward. Maybe Zhang Chushuan will give you unexpected benefits." Grand Prince, it's not that the old man has to be an enemy of the Lin dynasty. 35. Shaking his head, Lu Tianan's eyes were full of helplessness, but he still walked towards the eldest prince. "Let's go." General Ryu. Hearing this, the eldest prince's eyes suddenly widened, and he couldn't believe it. "If you don't leave, don't blame the old man for being unkind." Passing by the eldest prince, Lu Tianan said lightly, "You only have this one chance. With a gloomy face, the eldest prince found that Lu Tianan was not joking, and quickly flew towards the distance. General Lu, I have written down this favor, and there will be a period later. 5. Oh, it will be later. Indefinitely. Muttering in his mouth, Lu Tianan suddenly straightened his face and roared at the army under his command, kill. Not a single one left. Suddenly, 1,000,000 troops crossed the border like locusts, and everywhere they went, countless soldiers of the Lin dynasty were bound to die. The mourning was all over the field, and blood flowed all over the ground, but Lu Nanshan showed no mercy to his subordinates, like a ruthless machine, constantly harvesting the lives of all the Lin dynasty. The great battle of the Lin dynasty lasted for 7 days, and there were only more than 600,000 troops left, but in the end, Lu Tianan's side won the victory. But his mood is not very good. Personally erasing the dynasty that originally needed to be guarded by himself, Lu Tianan even wanted to rebel at that time and directly led this 1,000,000 army to kill the Yanwang dynasty. But thinking of the divine soul mark that Zhang Chushuan left in his body, he still dispelled this idea. After reporting this news to Long Yi, Lu Tianan led the army to temporarily station, waiting for the next order. When Zhang Chushuan learned the news, he was playing with his wives, and it was Yishi who took the initiative to tell the news that he learned about it. This Lu Tianan is not bad. When the time comes, you can manage a part of the area for him. Nodding slightly, Zhang Chushuan had some decisions in his heart, but was directly vetoed by Yishi. Fujun, this Lu Tianan has a backbone. I am worried that his strength will rise greatly in the future. Perhaps, he will do something to threaten my Yanwang dynasty. Hearing this, Zhang Chushuan shook his head indifferently, pinched Yi Zai's chin, and said disdainfully, "Who is your husband?" Lu Tianan, this anti-bone boy, was not pinched by me in the end. You, just be your own queen at ease, and leave the matter of fighting the rivers and mountains to your husband. Mighty. 39. Smiling, Yi Shi threw herself into Zhang Chushuan's arms, looking happy. Ha ha ha. After a few loud sounds, Zhang Chushuan was thinking about the next decision, and for a long time, he said to Yi Shi, "Sire, you prepare. Not long after, I plan to promote the Yanwang dynasty to the 5th rank, but before that, I may have to leave for a while." Fu Kun. In such a hurry. Yi Zai's beautiful eyes suddenly widened and his eyes were full of surprise. It hasn't been long since I became a 6th-rank dynasty, and I am about to be promoted. This speed is too fast, right? Hee hee, it's not fast, just watch it when the time comes. With a dashing smile, Zhang Chushuan explained some things to Yi Shi, and then said goodbye to him. General Ryu, Zhang family, backyard. Lu Tianan's fame in the first battle shocked many families in the southern part of Lingzhuyu, and unknowingly, he had defected to the Yanwang dynasty and helped him fight the Lin dynasty. Such a great achievement made many people's eyes red, but more nervous. Who will the next butcher knife of the Yanwang dynasty swing at? At this time, General Lu Tianan, who was in the mouth of many cultivators, was carefully sitting on a chair, and not far from him was Zhang Chushuan, who was slowly drinking tea. Chen, subordinates are here. Lu Tianan subconsciously wanted to be a subject, but realized the current situation, he quickly changed his words. Zhang Chushuan didn't mind, and after putting down the teacup, he said indifferently, "You have made great achievements in destroying the Lin dynasty. There is just one thing here that you need to do, and afterwards, you will get a lot of rewards." 5. But according to the orders of the Zhang family master, Lu Tianan didn't dare to say much, but buried his head lower. In front of Zhang Chushuan, he always had a sense of fear, always feeling that the next moment, the other party would launch the imprint in the divine soul and kill himself. Starting today, you will lead your soldiers to eliminate the remnants of the Lin dynasty, and go to the major families to tell them that in a month, my Yanwang dynasty will hold a ceremony to promote the 5 Pins dynasty, and I sincerely invite all Taoists to come and watch. 0. In fact, Zhang Chushuan could have directly promoted the Yanwang dynasty to the 5th rank at this time, but in order to convince the cultivators and to show the prestige of the Yanwang dynasty, it was still necessary to announce it to the world. Hearing this, Lu Tianan was shocked in his heart. He knows the promotion time of the Yanwang dynasty. This is less than half a year. The Yanwang dynasty will be promoted again. Such a speed, it is really terrifying. How? Any comments? Seeing that Lu Tianan had been silent, Zhang Chushuan asked, "If you have any opinions, just say it. Everyone is their own people. There is no need to hide it." No, Patriarch Zhang. Lu Tianan, who came to his senses, hurriedly shook his head, knelt down on one knee towards Zhang Chushuan, and said aloud after a bow, "Old man promises to complete the task of Master Zhang." Hee hee, let's go. With a wave of his hand, Zhang Chushuan signaled Lu Tianan to retreat. It's just that the light in his eyes flickered, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Zhang Chushuan knows very well that although he is now invincible under the king, he is about to be promoted to a 5-rank force, and when the time comes, he is a true monarch cultivator, and there must be many people who feel that the Yanwang dynasty is very weak, and there will be constant trouble at that time. Well, to promote the Yanwang dynasty to a 5-rank force, there must be many people who come to see the play, right? No, my strength still needs to be improved, just to cope with the next changes. Thinking like this, Zhang Chushuan did not inform any of the family, and came to the Fierce Beast mountain range alone, ready to break through. In fact, he could have entered the realm of distraction a long time ago, but in order to be foolproof, he still found a place where no one disturbed him, carefully prepared, and then began to break through. Because of the last drive in the Fierce Beast mountain range, most of the Fierce Beasts settled in one place, and they did not dare to walk around, for fear that the people of the Yanwang dynasty would come in and slaughter them all. In this case, Zhang Chushuan easily found a place with beautiful scenery and plenty of aura. Well, this place is not bad, no one comes to disturb, just suitable for retreat. Oh, in order for myself to break through smoothly, I can be regarded as the first person, right? After laying down some simple warning formations around him, Zhang Chushuan sat cross-kneeled in his Lin clan's expanded cave mansion and began to retreat and break through the realm of distraction. River. 90%. Chapter 359 Breakthrough. Promoted to the Holy Lord level, I am powerful. Subscription required. Distraction is a word split. Generally speaking, there is only one human spirit soul, although it is naturally strong and weak, but after the acquired cultivation, after reaching a certain realm, the strength of the divine soul can be increased a lot. And when it comes to the divine mansion realm, people's divine souls are already very powerful compared to ordinary people. Moreover, if you want to break through to a higher realm again, you need to distract yourself and split your divine soul in two. Successfully entering the distraction realm, in addition to a great increase in strength, it is equivalent to an extra life. Many people often prepare a doppelganger for themselves at this time, which is used to store 2 divine souls, one for the main and the other for the supplement. But in this way, in addition to experiencing the unbearable pain of tearing the soul of ordinary people, it is also necessary to consider the consequences of distraction failure. Once the distraction fails, that is, the impact of the distraction realm fails, the 4-7 spirit is damaged, and the slightly heavier one becomes stupid, and eventually becomes a waste. But that's not the most serious. The most serious thing is that once the distraction fails, the spirit will be destroyed, and when the time comes, the body will disappear, completely dissipating between heaven and earth, and even reincarnation cannot be done. Therefore, many people will be completely prepared before hitting the distraction realm. If conditions permit, they will also find trusted relatives or friends to help them protect the Dharma and pray for all the best. Although Zhang Chushuan has already reached the half-step distraction realm, he is still a little worried about this, so he has been delaying until now, and he is ready to attack the realm. Exhaling deeply, Zhang Chushuan closed his eyes, threw away all the chaotic thoughts in his head, and concentrated on impacting the realm. When all his thoughts were collected into his soul, Zhang Chushuan found a man exactly like himself, but only the size of a palm, looking at him. Realizing that this was his own spirit, Zhang Chushuan pinched his hands and silently chanted the method of distraction in his mouth. Originally, people's spirits were relatively weak, and they could be torn apart after a major impact, and ordinary people generally became fools or were directly scared to death. But at this time, the divine soul has a lot of strength, and the distraction is to tear this solid divine soul alive, and then guide them to become 2 complete divine souls again, which invisibly increases the difficulty. At this time, Zhang Chushuan's physical body is showing a painful expression, cold sweat is constantly flowing down his forehead, and his face is also extremely red. I am afraid that in a moment, he will not be able to bear this huge pain, and his soul will be destroyed. Zhang Chushuan stared at his soul for a long time, and found that there was nothing around him to separate it, so he could only tear it apart little by little like a dull knife slashing flesh. Whether it was Zhang Chushuan's physical body or divine soul, they were all in great pain at this time, but they all had firm eyes, hoping that the act of distraction could be completed at once. Consciousness gradually became blurred. Zhang Chushuan saw that his soul had been split by half, and couldn't bear to give up, so he gritted his teeth and continued to insist. Soon, as long as you hold on a little longer, you can succeed. At this time, Zhang Chushuan couldn't help but scold the mother in his heart. It turned out that breaking through the cultivation was so easy, and with a long time to come to the half-step distraction realm, I thought it could be easily completed. But reality gave him a loud slap, and this distraction pain is really not something that people can bear. Fortunately, he has great perseverance and gritted his teeth and persevered until now. Roar. Suddenly, a faint dragon chant came from Zhang Chushuan's body, and this sound became more and more intense as the distraction progressed. Gritting his teeth, Zhang Chushuan exerted all his strength to eat milk, just for success. Snap. I don't know how long later, Zhang Chushuan's ears suddenly heard a sound like a rope breaking, and the sharp pain in his soul suddenly dissipated a lot, but it was still a faint pain. Opening his eyes, a dragon-shaped shadow flashed by, and then disappeared from his eyes. Phew. With a long exhale, Zhang Chushuan looked at the two identical selves in front of him, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but smile. Jump. 99. Shen Yan moved slightly. These two themselves suddenly jumped and jumped. They looked a little cute. Flip in the air. Yes, yes, dance. 995. Oh, that's nice. Zhang Chushuan seemed to find it fun, and kept directing the two of them to make various movements, until a trace of tiredness came from his soul, and he stopped, and his mind returned to his body. One spirit stopped in place, and the other, which was slightly weaker, came to the outside world with Zhang Chushuan. In a roar, this spirit rushed out of the cave mansion, flying directly in the air. 0. Zhang Chushuan found that without the shackles of the physical body, the speed of this divine soul was extremely fast. Almost wherever he thought of it, he would appear in that place in an instant. Distracted, I've finally come to this step. From a hanging old man, waiting for his own golden finger, and then to today's step, Zhang Chushuan doesn't know how long he has been waiting, but this is not the end. There are still many realms waiting for him to break through, and there are infinite scenery waiting for him to appreciate on the road. After manipulating the sub-soul to play outside for a while, Zhang Chushuan recalled it to his body, got up and moved his body. Crackling. Sitting for a long time made his whole body feel like rust, and he made a sound like a firecracker when twisting, which lasted for a long time. Quote. With a cloudy breath protruding from his mouth, Zhang Chushuan came to the outside of the cave mansion and was also stunned to see that he had spent more than 20 days unknowingly. In the spirit of God, he only felt that it took him less than a day to split him in two, but the reality had passed so long. No wonder there is a saying that one day in the mountains, the year before last in the world. Smiling and shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan looked in the direction of the Yanwang dynasty, and his figure flew away. In 2 or 3 days, it will be the day when the Yanwang dynasty is promoted to the power of the 5 products, and if he does not go back, maybe there will be chaos, which will affect the ceremony as scheduled. At this time, the Yanwang dynasty was in the palace. 4.4. Yi Shi looked anxious, and said this to the children of Yun Xuanxian Nangong Mushui, but they were all absent-minded, looking towards the door of the main hall from time to time, as if they were waiting for something. Sister, it's been so long, why hasn't Fujun come back yet? The time of the promotion ceremony was set by Zhang Chushuan, but when the time was coming, Zhang Chushuan was nowhere to be seen, and Yi Shi was even more anxious in his heart. Nangong Mushui's situation is similar to her, but in order to appease her, Nangong Mushui had to show a smile in front of her. Since the husband said, he will definitely be able to rush back, he should be delayed by things now, don't worry. When Yi Shi heard this, his heart was much more stable, but he still looked towards the door from time to time. At this moment, a person came from the entrance of the main hall and shouted at the women, "Wives, I'm back." 91%. Chapter 360 Dynasty Promotion Ceremony, 5 grades. Subscription required. Yi Shi rubbed his eyes and after determining that the person who came was Zhang Chushuan, he suddenly flew into his arms. Why did you show up now? I don't know how anxious I am. On the side, the women of Yun Xuanxian were looking at the two with a smile on their faces, but their eyes did not hide their envy for Yi Shi. Among several women, who can be so unscrupulous, excluding the Nangong sisters, I am afraid that only Yi Shi is alone, right? He. They are all about to be the queen of the 5-pin dynasty, and they are still so frizzy. After gently patting Yi Zai's back and signaling her not to be nervous, Zhang Chushuan came to the women with her and said with a smile, "Thank you for taking good care of the family and the dynasty during my absence." 99. Humph. Do you do less of this kind of thing? With a snort, Yi Shi hammered Zhang Chushuan's broad chest, and then sat down in his original position with a red face. Zhang Chushuan was not ashamed, hugging his wives one by one, causing them a burst of shame before slowly speaking, "How are the preparations for the promotion ceremony?" "Master, basically everything is ready, and the families or sects that come to watch the ceremony are also arranged in the palace courtyard, and you can go directly to the scene when the time comes." 04 Nangong Mushui is still the eldest wife, and she told the matter one by one, and then looked at Zhang Chushuan. "Master, is there anything else you need to add?" "No need." Shaking his head, Zhang Chushuan smiled and said, "You guys are doing a good job, you don't need other preparations. Next, just wait for the promotion ceremony to begin." Because the day is approaching, many residents in Yanwang City spontaneously put up lights and prepared to celebrate this grand event. After Zhang Chushuan returned, everyone had a joyful smile on their faces, and their hearts were looking forward to it more and more. Ling Zuiyu, the Dragon King Hall, one of the 3 5-rank forces. Hearing the news that the Yanwang dynasty was about to be promoted, His Royal Highness the Dragon King was full of laughter. A dynasty wants to be promoted to the 5th rank, which one does not withstand the test of time, become stronger step by step, and finally be recognized by the heavenly Tao, and then successfully promote. How can he of the Yanwang dynasty transform from an unruly family to the current Liupan dynasty in just a few years? In their opinion, this is already the Yanwang dynasty burning high incense, and the ancestors blessed. However, because the Yanwang dynasty subdued the Water Dragon Hall, the Hall Master of the Dragon King Hall still summoned an elder on this day and ordered him, "Elder Ao Wei, I still want to send you to the Yanwang dynasty this time." Quote, "If the Yanwang dynasty returns the Water Dragon Hall, my Dragon King Hall will not care about them, and regardless of whether he is promoted or not, my Dragon King Hall will send a congratulatory gift and befriend him. If not, it's good to teach him a lesson." The elder named Ao Wei, after sensing the killing intent in the Hall Master's words, couldn't help but tremble, and hurriedly bowed his head and agreed, "Yes. Hall Master." The old man must complete the task and give the Hall Master a satisfactory explanation. 99. Go ahead. Set off now, and maybe catch up with the ascension ceremony of the Yanwang dynasty. 39. Yes. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and Elder Ao Hun slowly withdrew under the eyes of the Hall Master. Dongshuan Domain, Lingzhou Domain, South, Nanyangzhou, Yanwang City. At this time, on the square of the main hall of Yanwang City, there were 200,000 black-armored Zon Tai soldiers standing on the left and right sides. Their faces were solemn and forceful, making many guests who came to watch the ceremony dare not speak loudly, and they seemed depressed. On both sides of the front steps of the hall, there were 50,000 vermilion Xuanjia guards, all of them women, who were guarding Queen Yishi and Prince Zhang Chushuan and others, standing solemnly. Directly in front of Zhang Chushuan and the others, a long red silk carpet was spread out in a line until the end of the square. A few steps down, close to Queen Yishi, were the various clansmen of the Zhang family, who were the most numerous, accounting for as many as 70%. Beside the Zhang family, there are the ministers and soldiers of the various Yanwang dynasties. At this time, everyone was silent, their eyes did not squint, and they waited quietly. "The hour has come, the promotion ceremony begins," Yi Wucheng shouted, and the sound spread throughout the entire royal city, and everyone who came to watch the ceremony suddenly looked behind in unison. Roar! A deafening dragon chant suddenly entered everyone's ears. Ahead, a unicorn golden dragon, this stepped into the air. The aura of the peak of the distraction realm suddenly filled the square in front of the hall, up to the entire royal city. The huge figure of the horned dragon even blocked everyone's sight, and a strong sense of oppression suddenly hit. Everyone's eyes focused on the horned dragon, or rather, the two figures standing above the horned dragon's head. The horned dragon continued to move forward, stopping in front of the palace steps, and its body quickly shrunk until it was the size of an ordinary person, and then it dissipated with a bang, turning into a stream of light and falling into the sleeve of the man among them. The person who came was Zhang Chushuan, and the woman beside him was Yi Shi, who was dressed in the queen's phoenix robe and wore a 5-curtain crown. Heroic and powerful, the wealth is compelling, so that many male cultivators look straight in the eyes and do not blink. Although everyone had already seen Queen Yishi as early as the last time, when the Yanwang dynasty was established, this time was a little different from the last time. A more powerful momentum emanated from her, and Zhang Chushuan beside her was even more mysterious, making everyone unable to guess his reality. Stepping on red silk, Queen Yishi came step by step to the white jade high platform specially prepared for the 447 promotion ceremony in the eyes of all the soldiers and guards and countless cultivators. Yui, 35. Yui. The roar of the soldiers made the cultivators finally wake up and look forward with full attention. The festival begins. Zhang Chushuan's face was solemn, and when he gave an order, everyone on the scene knelt down at the same time. Boom 1. Uniformly and very strictly, Zhang Chushuan's voice sounded again, kneel to the sky. Everyone did so, and only the back of the head could be seen one by one. The ritual of worshipping the heavens lasted for half an hour, and everyone slowly got up. Although his knees were already a little numb, no one paid attention to it. Please Junqiao Jade Seal. As soon as Yi Shi raised his hand slightly, there was immediately a palace maid behind him, handing over the seal representing the Yun dynasty to Yi Zai's hand. Holding up the seal high, Yi Shi said loudly, "Fortunately for the heavenly Tao, Yanhuang is standing. Today, Yan Huang Yexi, I beg the heavens to allow you to promote Yan Huang and promote the 5 products." Boom. The originally clear sky was suddenly cloudy at this time, and muffled thunder was constantly heard from it. Seeing this, a smile appeared on Yi Zai's face, and his hands held the seal even harder, waiting for the reward of the heavenly Tao. Cracking sound. Thunder burst. Everyone looked up, and saw a lot of luck condensed over Yanhuang King City. Boom. Condensed over Yanhuang King City. Boom. Condensed over Yanhuang King City.